hear from people who were literally, you hear it all the time, front lines or those firsthand experiences of people that were being pursued by ICE agents. You heard those stories, but you also heard from advocacy groups like Voces de la Frontera. You also heard from city council members as well. So this was really an all-around effort, I guess you could say. And of course, not everybody was at the meeting, but you definitely heard from different voices on just the overall impact of what you're seeing from ICE enforcement across our area. And it was 39 arrests across Wisconsin this past weekend. And it was through those sweeps that a lot of people were saying that there's not only actions to be done with ICE enforcement, but the wrinkle in that is that there was a Milwaukee Police Department District 2 building that the parking lot was being used by federal agents for their operations and whatever shape or of what that would turn out to be, but they were still being used. And that was something that the Milwaukee Police Department said that they were not aware of even in advance. Well, in advance, they would usually get a notice. They did not know that at all. And so what they did was not only did they, contact federal agents on making sure that that does not happen again, but they also are contacting the city's attorney's office on the legal opinion, getting a legal opinion about the city ordinance. The city ordinance, which comes from the ISOUT package system that we've been reporting on for months now. A lot of that has to do with two main things. There's a lot that goes into it, but two main things. One of them being making sure that ICE operations do not happen on city-owned properties, but also making sure that federal agents are unmasked. And I know there's some, there's some exceptions when it comes to that, especially whether it's cold weather or dealing with someone with sickness. Obviously, cold weather is not a factor on a day like today or this week or this past weekend. So you're definitely still seeing that, which raised concerns, not only for overall enforcement from these advocacy groups and people in the area, but of course, when it comes to city property, specifically looking at the Milwaukee Police Department District 2 building.
Andrew, we appreciate you joining us here on the live desk. We're going to get out to a little bit more breaking news, but we appreciate you kind of breaking down, again, what we saw start really yesterday on the Wisconsin live desk and explaining some of the controversy and the reactions here in the Milwaukee area. So again, Andrew Amuzu there reporting for us as he makes his way back to the station after being out and about on Wake Up all morning long on that story. If you want more information as well, you can head to fox6now.com, of course, the Fox Local app as well, and just click on the article about that story. Lots of details there. I do want to get us back out to New York because I know a lot of people very interested in what has kind of transpired so far this morning and now afternoon in New York City. So again, if you're just tuning in, you are looking at the spire, the very top of the Empire State Building, where you are absolutely not allowed to be. This is not an easy area to even access. It would require you to kind of break in and enter for this section. And we've watched two individuals masked, wearing kind of black clothes, climb all the way to the very top of that spire. And again, they seem to have hung out up there for maybe 15, maybe 20 minutes with this flag, again, with a message all about power, about peace, about love. Then we saw them kind of start their journey down the Empire State Building on a landing, kind of like what you're looking at right now. We saw them stop, and what seems to have been a proposal take place between this man and this woman. We saw the man go down on one knee, then we saw them embrace afterwards, and it seemed like she was even actually taking photos of what would be now a ring on her ring finger and that view. So again, this will paint you a better picture as the helicopter from our sister station in New York starts to kind of zoom out. You can kind of get a better idea of what exactly we're looking at. So the very top of that spire is where these two individuals used to be. Again, they have started, I should say, to make their journey down to get back to ground level eventually. I would imagine probably officers will be waiting for them because, again, this is not a legal thing to do. They had to break in and enter and kind of trespass to get to this section of the Empire State Building. I'm trying to see if the helicopter will show us where exactly the two individuals are. Again, it gets harder to see them since there's now more gates and more fence around this section of the Empire State Building. But it was easier to spot the two individuals when they were on the top of the spire. So again, watching this journey, and we know a lot of people were tuned in to Fox Local. They have been talking about this since it started. Okay, actually live now saying it's been 37 minutes since the climbers were first spotted. Earlier, the helicopter kind of zoomed out a little bit to show what would be the viewing deck, so where you can buy a ticket and go to the top of the Empire State Building, where everybody who was up there had their eyes drawn to the sky, looking up for what they could see of these two climbers. Then eventually it even zoomed out more, showing us the streets of New York. And again, people just stopped in their tracks watching this unfold. And I think, one, it's out of curiosity, but two, it's also out of, I mean, it's a little out of fear when you watch something like this. I mean, there's a reason this isn't allowed. It's extremely dangerous. They didn't seem to have any sort of safety gear with them. They were more so free climbing this. So again, definitely a scary situation to be watching, and you hope those individuals make it down safely. And again, we've been watching now their journey down. So just going to read you a little bit of what our sister station in New York has been reporting. But again, what we know, it's been quite the scene. I would say it's a shocking scene. They're going high above the streets right now of Manhattan. As I mentioned, those two masked individuals scaled to the very top of that Empire State Building onto the spire this afternoon, where they then unveiled this banner that promoted world peace before, again, going down more so to a kind of deck platform just like this, or we watched what we believe to be a sky-high proposal unfold. It's almost like you can't write what we have been witnessing and experiencing. I can tell you our newsroom has been glued to the TV screen because it's just not something you see every single day. And there's, again, a reason for that. It's a very dangerous situation going on right now in New York City. So they were spotted kind of right around noon. And again, immediately catching the eyes of onlookers that were either on the streets of New York, or again, kind of at the deck, the viewing platform, if you want to go to the top of the Empire State Building. This is the spire. This is where they used to be, and you can see it is extremely high. There's not a lot of placement for, and your feet to be, your hands to be. They were not locked in by any sort of safety gear. They were just free climbing the top of that Empire State Building. Again, they've made their way down. They continue to make their way down. And of course, this is just going off on social media right now as well. So I mentioned this flag that they kind of put out at the top of that spire that we were just looking at, and it read, "When the power of love beats the love of power, the world knows peace." So we don't know who these individuals are. We don't know their story, where they're from, why they chose to do this, but we know the message that they wanted to put out today, and that was that when the power of love beats the love of power, the world knows peace. So again, then we watched about maybe 30 minutes ago as they started to make their way down the Empire State Building before they stopped at another kind of spire platform, as I mentioned, and we watched one of the climbers get down on their knee and propose to another one of these individuals. Again, they are wearing masks, so we don't know who they are, what they look like, but we've been watching them climb down. It does sound like they have gotten all the way down, according to our sister station here, and again, still trying to figure out how they even were able to make it to the top of the building. I want to show you what it looked like, because this is why I think we were just glued to our TV screens on Fox Local about an hour ago, because this is terrifying. This is a helicopter showing the two individuals at the top of the spire there. You see their masks are on, and that is the flag that they kind of showed, and they unrolled it. And again, it says, "When the power of love beats the love of power, the world knows peace." I want to say they were probably up there for about 20 minutes. At different times, it seemed like they embraced. It seems like maybe they were, having a kiss here or there. We know they're a couple, just based off the fact that we do believe they witnessed a proposal. It does sound like Delaney has video of that. So this is when they had climbed down the first portion. You can see he kind of gestures, "Go over here," grabs her arm, gets down on one knee. We watched him also set up a camera before this moment. He kind of climbed down a little bit faster, set up a camera, gets down on one knee. You can see the shock and surprise. Again, the fact that they are this high up, not locked into anything, on so close to the edge of this building, it makes my hands sweat. I am not a person that likes heights, so I can't even fathom this being my engagement scenario. But then you see them, she says, seemingly, yes, he puts the ring on her. I don't know how long this clip will go, but eventually she pulls out her phone and they start taking kind of photos of the ring and the view. So again, this is what we've been watching unfold in New York the last hour or so. And you can see she takes off the mask, they embrace, they seem to have, a kiss or two here as they celebrate their new engagement, eventually going back down and continuing that journey to the ground of the Empire State Building. We have seen the New York Police Department helicopters that were hovering around the climbers. As we also know, officers, this is according again to Fox 5, our sister station in New York, also started climbing up themselves. So again, this was the site when they were at the very top of the spire, and it's just something that you see and it shocks you and it grabs your attention immediately. Again, no longer on the top of the Empire State Building. I'll give you a live look of what it is now as the helicopters continue to just kind of go around the Empire State Building. We watched a lot of this happen in live time, but I will tell you, I think this is going to continue to be a story for the rest of today. I think people are going to want to track down who these individuals are, how they were able to reach the top of the spire of the Empire State Building. And of course, will they face charges? We know officers were trying to get them down. This is not a legal thing to do, so they most likely will be facing some consequences for these actions. But again, certainly just a shocking situation that unfolded earlier today. This would have been about an hour ago now when they were at the top of the spire. Just tuning in, the message on that flag, it reads, "When the power of love beats the love of power, the world knows peace." Again, live look now in New York, much different scene. I know one thing I was pointing out, though, just like us, New York experiencing this heat wave. So these two individuals being outside in this amount of heat with not a lot of gear on them, you have to imagine there's not a ton of water that they could bring, or is it even a safe way to, have a hand free in order to drink any sort of water, but also no shade when you're on the top of the Empire State Building. So I know that was a fear of mine as well, that you add into the play of how dangerous is this situation. So that's your live look right now in New York. We are going to take a quick break here on the Wisconsin Live Desk and continue to get you to your top stories this afternoon, this Wednesday, as I know a lot of people have their eyes, maybe not so much on New York. I know New Jersey is where we have some of the World Cup matches. Atlanta right now is where England was playing, but everyone really caring about San Francisco, the complete opposite coast. That's where Team USA playing later today. For now, we'll take a quick break. Be right back.
Wisconsin Live Desk.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. Haley Spittler here at 12:17 with you as we continue to be in the extreme heat warning. Want to go ahead and bring in our weather expert, Lisa Michaels, because Lisa, I know you guys are tracking some new watches. We saw a warning pop up even earlier this morning, so kind of fill us in. What's new? What do we need to know about?
Yeah, so we definitely have the heat. We have the moisture. Both of those things can help flare up some thunderstorms, and we've had a few strong to severe storms in Fond du Lac and Sheboygan County earlier this morning. Those are the only two counties right now under a severe thunderstorm watch until 4 p.m. But we are watching another strong thunderstorm, and severe at this point, moving through Fond du Lac County as we speak. All of that lightning is going to signify a couple things. One, that the storm is very powerful, and two, there's a significant hail core in that. So we typically see more lightning for both of those scenarios. Now, the severe thunderstorm warning has been expanded eastward now into the rest of Fond du Lac County, and very likely is going to be extended or expanded here into Sheboygan County as we continue into the early afternoon. What we're watching with this is very large hail. We're talking $half size hail reported near Rosendale, near Fond du Lac County. So again, that's going to be the big concern, is just south. That is where we are tracking that larger hail core that's going to be making its way over Interstate 41 just shortly. So large hail within this is one of the primary concerns, but we still could have some damaging wind gusts up to 60 miles an hour. One thing I also want to notice is, can you see the darker oranges and red colors? That means that the storm is going to be reaching 40 to 50,000 feet in the atmosphere. So it is a very tall, a very large storm, which also can help support those larger hailstones. So this is still a supercell. Yes, again, in Rosendale, we had $half size hail reported at 12:10, and we potentially could be seeing more reports of larger hailstones again within this as we are moving through the next few hours. So keep that in mind. Our heat indices a little lower in Fond du Lac and Sheboygan counties just because of the fact that there's been more cloud cover. We've had some of the early thunderstorms and are now seeing some of those in the afternoon. So heat indices still going to be impactful, but not as impactful as everywhere else, as we are feeling like 98 in Milwaukee right now, as well as Racine, 96 in Waukesha, 98 in Watertown, and 103 in West Bend, which of course that sensor is always a little bit higher than the other ones. We'll still have, again, triple-digit heat indices for today. So what we are continuing to track is the extreme heat warning issued for all of southeast Wisconsin until 7 o'clock tonight. Is it possible that we could still continue to have heat headlines by the end of the week? Yes. I don't know if we will exactly reach the warning criteria, but we might be issued to an advisory criteria. Needless to say, though, as we head into the fourth weekend, it still is going to be very humid, and we are going to be tracking more thunderstorms across the area. So right now, again, severe thunderstorms in our northern counties, Fond du Lac, Sheboygan. Mostly everyone else should be staying dry, but this just goes to show it's another scorcher out there where it's one of those days you want to stay inside and in the shade as much as you can, Haley.
I feel like every time, Lisa, even slightly go outside, I'm immediately hit with that heat, with that humidity.
Oh, yeah.
And yes, I'm like, get me back inside, get me to a fan, get me to the AC. Let me remind myself to drink more water.
That's what you need to do. Hey, I'm working on it. I brought the big bottle to work today, and I think that's what everyone needs, is to just remember, especially when we get warmer like this, your appetite usually diminishes.
Yeah.
You may or may not get as thirsty, but you have to keep replenishing your body with water because you sweat it out, and then you can get dehydrated very quickly in these types of conditions.
Yeah, lots of good advice there. Really quickly before you let you go, obviously we've seen some different watches and warnings pop up. Just what do we need to know about the chance of any severe storms, that risk again for anyone just joining us right now on the live desk?
So I'm actually going to step off the screen here so I can at least bring it back up for you. Here's the story. Again, it's going to be Fond du Lac and Sheboygan counties are under that severe thunderstorm watch until 4 p.m. today. And that's exactly where we saw some of these severe thunderstorms earlier this morning and are continuing to watch another supercell move through, creating some extremely large hail into Fond du Lac County, as well as 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. So that's likely going to move into Sheboygan County in the next hour or so. So keep in mind, if you are in these areas, you might want to make sure your car is inside or in some sort of covered shelter, because we've had hail reports up to $half size hail in Fond du Lac County. Very strong storm moving through. That's why we have that severe thunderstorm warning on it. And while we are not seeing a lot of scattered storms, most of that's staying up to our north, we won't have to worry about too many of these stronger storms impacting areas south through the day. I think most locations across southeast Wisconsin will hang on to sunshine. Will be very uncomfortable to step outside, but won't have to deal with this activity. We're just focused on our northern counties for Fond du Lac and Sheboygan areas.
All right, Lisa, we do appreciate that update. Obviously, if anything new pops up that we need to know about you or Steph, someone's going to join us right here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, as we keep everybody informed. Thanks, Lisa.
Thanks.
And again, if you don't need to be outside, don't be outside, whether it's because you live in those areas where they're experiencing hail, or even here in Milwaukee, where, you know, we have blue skies and sunshine for now. We still have extreme heat, and that's not just a saying. There is an extreme heat warning right now until 7 p.m., so please take this seriously. Be in the shade, be in the AC, be drinking all the water you can. We also want to make sure that everybody is nice and safe throughout this heat stretch, which I know it's hard when you're on day 3 and you know there's day 4 and there's day 5 to come. But again, please continue to stay vigilant as we will all get through this together. All right, we're going to take a quick break here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. We'll be back with more news right after this.
Wisconsin Live Desk.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. Haley Spittler here with you at 12:26 on your Wednesday afternoon. Taking a live look here at Nomad World Pub. Of course, this is their fan zone. It's where they have a giant screen to watch the World Cup games. Small crowd right now. There is a game going on right now in our air. It's England versus the DR Congo, the Dominican Republic of Congo. Want to give a huge shout out to the individuals who have showed up to support their team that are right there in the shade. You can see they actually moved the chairs from one of the tables to go to the shade. It's a very smart move when we're talking about 91 degrees. That's the actual temperature. The feels like, again, could get up to triple digits once again this week, not something to take lightly. So again, right now, England taking on the Dominican Republic of Congo. England currently losing. Congo is leading this one 1-0. Again, it's round of 32. It's win or go home. This is now the knockout. So if you lose, you're done with the World Cup. If you win, you go on to the round of 16 teams. Of course, a lot of people very, very excited for today. Let me give you a full look at the lineup here. Of course, you got the game that's happening right now. You can watch it. It's still going to go for a while here. You know, you got 30 more minutes of regular time play. You'll have to see how many they add on at the end. So turn on your TV to Fox 6. Keep us on Fox Local, or maybe you're watching us on fox6now.com or our Fox 6 YouTube page. It's that really great opportunity to do dual devices. So you have your TV on one, your phone, your computer, or your tablet on another. And then, of course, Team USA. Big day for us. It's our first knockout round match. We're taking on Bosnia and Herzegovina at 8 p.m. That is when you're going to want to tune in to Fox 6 to watch them hopefully advance. It's really exciting. I am actually wanting to double check the time of this one, because I know this one says 8 p.m. Another graphic we have says 7 p.m. So there might be pre-game that starts at 7 and the match starts at 8. I will clarify for that and get back to you. But of course, a great opportunity to watch it if you would like. Here at Nomad World Pub, this was an electric spot when we watched them take on Australia live on the Wisconsin Live Desk, but all 3 rounds of group play. If Team USA was on the screen, there was a huge crowd right here at Nomad. Delaney, our producer, letting us know game is 7 o'clock Central. So that graphic we were showing you that said 8, that's Eastern time zone. I just don't want anyone to tune in at 8 and the game be like halfway through. So appreciate that clarification. This is the graphic that does say 7 p.m. So I apologize for kind of the discrepancy there between the two graphics. But please tune in at 7 for the match of Team USA taking on Bosnia and Herzegovina. Again, really exciting for, I think, the area of Milwaukee on both sides of the pitch here. So obviously, so many people rooting for Team USA. You're looking at Christian Pulisic there in his USA jersey. He should be back in the match, which a lot of people are excited for. But also the Milwaukee Messi. If you watched our story on Esmir, he plays for Bosnia and Herzegovina, and so he will be suiting up, going to the pitch as well, playing, against Team USA. But I know a lot of people in Milwaukee really excited to root for him. So maybe it's a win-win outcome, right? Maybe you either are Team USA and you're happy if they walk away with a victory, or you can be a little happy for a piece of Milwaukee and the Milwaukee Messi. Don't know what I'm talking about? That's okay. We can catch you up to speed. Sam Kramer did an amazing story about the Milwaukee Messi. Go to Fox Local right now, fox6now.com. Just type in Milwaukee Messi. Watch the story he put together. It's great. And when he put it together, we never dreamed that Team USA would be taking on Bosnia and Herzegovina in the first knockout round, this round of 32 teams, seeing who can battle it out to make that round of 16, which would be obviously very exciting for Team USA. Wanted to let you know a little bit more about the match today as we take a live look here at Nomad, obviously right here in Milwaukee. They'll be in San Francisco. Their first time playing over there. They did round 1 in Los Angeles. They did round 2 in Seattle, round 3 back in Los Angeles. Now they're taking on San Francisco. We know the weather here is hot and humid. What is it like in San Francisco? Well, good news for you. We can get you caught up to speed right now with a little weather report.
Hey soccer fans, I'm Fox weather meteorologist Haley Meyer, and today we're talking FIFA World Cup and how the weather may impact today's game between our U.S. men's national team and Bosnia and Herzegovina using our exclusive ROE, or the risk of weather impact. Game kicks off 8 p.m. Eastern time in Santa Clara, California. This is the first round of knockout games for the USA. There have already been a couple of big teams punted out of the competition so far. The U.S. looking to make it to the round of 16, where they would eventually play in Seattle on July 6th. But Bosnia is a tough opponent, despite being a third-place ranked team out of group play to take on the U.S. men's team. Now, when you look at the weather, it is actually pretty perfect. You couldn't ask for better soccer weather. Low risk of weather impact, going with a 1.2 on our scale. It's just like that song by Joe Nichols, The Sunny in 75. That's exactly what we're getting in Santa Clara at San Francisco Bay Area Stadium. We hover into the mid-lower 70s throughout the better part of the game. And by the end of the match, 69 degrees and sunshine as hopefully the USA is celebrating their victory. Coverage begins today at 6 Eastern with the match at 8 on Fox. And remember, for sports weather and all your weather news coverage, be sure to watch Fox Weather.
Again, so many people so excited for the World Cup and for tonight's match. So make sure and tune in for that game right here. Fox 6, your home for Team USA and the World Cup. Again, that will be happening at 7 p.m. I want to take another live look really quickly in New York. That's where we have an update. Obviously, the helicopter kind of moving on from the Empire State Building. That's because those two individuals are now in custody. So again, if you were watching us just a little bit ago, and I'll have Delaney work on getting us that video again, we watched in real time around 11 o'clock our time here in Milwaukee, two individuals climb to the very top of the Empire State Building. This is them at that top of the spire. Again, a very kind of frightening scene. It is so dangerous there, and they were free climbing, so they weren't locked in or secure with any sort of gear. They climbed all the way to the top, then they rolled out that banner, that flag that reads, "When the power of love beats the love of power, the world knows peace." They were wearing masks. We still don't know their identity or who or why, how they were able to get to the top of the spire. Obviously, we understand this message maybe being the reasoning why they chose to go to the top of the Empire State Building. We then watched them make their journey down, which took a little bit of a surprising turn when they stopped on a platform of the spire, and we watched actually a proposal unfold. We watched one of the climbers set out what looked to be a camera and then get down on one knee. The other individual accepting the proposal, a little bit of celebration. We watched them remove their masks temporarily, where they then embraced and celebrated their now engagement. But again, we continue to watch their journey down. We now know they are in custody. Police say charges are pending. Obviously, an investigation underway as to how they were able to bypass, I'm sure, several different security checkpoints to make their way up there. Again, very much so not allowed and very much so a dangerous situation, but we do know they are back on the ground. They are now in police custody, and we will work for any information we can get as far as identities and charges, because police again say those charges are pending as the investigation is now underway. All right, we're going to take another quick break here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. We'll be back with more news and a check of your weather right after this. Stay with us.
The Wisconsin Live Desk.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. Haley Spittler here with you at 12:36 on your Wednesday afternoon as we take another live look outside in Milwaukee from our Modern camera. Again, it is a hot one out there. It is a humid one out there. It is not a time where you really want to spend a ton of time outside. Want to bring things over once again to Lisa Michaels. She's got the latest on your forecast as they continue to track a couple different watches and warnings as well. Hey, Lisa.
Yeah, we are. Hey, Haley. Well, I want you to take a look at a different vantage point because we flipped this camera around and this is looking north where we see the outskirts of this severe thunderstorm. And it's actually a supercell, which had some rotation earlier. That rotation has really started to weaken, but it is an efficient rainmaker and has a history of producing some large hail. So this is the one and only thunderstorm we're watching right now where there is again a severe thunderstorm warning on it for Fond du Lac County, but very likely going to be issued for Sheboygan County momentarily. We have had the largest part of the hail core just south of Fond du Lac, where there has been numerous reports of hail either quarter size, $half size, and even golf ball size from Rolling Meadows to Hickory. So keep that in mind. What we're also noticing with this is we're going to put a track on it as if it is going to be going into Sheboygan County, and potentially again we'll have that extension of the warning on it. Looking to reach Plymouth at 12:51, Sheboygan Falls at 11:04, and Sheboygan at 1:11. So again, within the next 45 minutes, this is looking to still impact portions of Fond du Lac and Sheboygan counties before it works its way over to the lake. Now again, the purple area here, that's where we have the largest hail within this, and it has been holding steady as this cell has been moving right eastward at about 40 miles an hour through Fond du Lac County. So large hail within that. Another indication that larger hail is going to be supported is the height of the thunderstorm. Notice where we see this red-orange color. That is going to indicate that we have heights 40 to 50,000 feet. So these hailstones are being lofted really high up. They'll come down, they'll loft up and down until they're too heavy and then can be thrown out to the ground. But thunderstorms this high indicates that it is maintaining a healthy status and can support some of those larger hailstones, which is what we've been tracking. So a lot of reports around the Fond du Lac area again of large hail. Golf ball size was the largest we've had reported, as well as wind gusts at the airport near 43 miles an hour. So this storm is providing a better indication of severe hail or rather than damaging winds, but can't rule out some very strong winds within that either. Notice where our heat indices are a little bit cooler near Fond du Lac. That's because we have that rain-cooled air, some of the outflow wind gusts, cooling things down a little bit, but still going to be very humid. The heat and humidity is going to have a bigger impact everywhere else in southeast Wisconsin, where heat indices are now at 98 in Milwaukee and Racine, 103 in West Bend, 97 in Burlington. So we don't have much cloud cover or storms to drop the heat indices elsewhere. It's where we do have the additional cloud cover and some of the rain and storms that we are lowering our heat indices right now. We do still have, again, the extreme heat warning until 7 p.m. for everyone for our dangerous high temperatures and humidity, where heat indices could be 106 degrees. And even tonight, we're talking 7 to 9 o'clock, heat indices could be in the 80s to 90s. We might not hit those 70s until we head a little bit later, but it is just going to be another scorcher of a day. We will start to see our temperatures get a little bit lower by the 4th and on Sunday. However, we're still going to be extremely humid at that time. So we don't have an extension on this heat warning right now, but I do think it's possible we could maybe have a heat advisory into Thursday and Friday. But if not that, we still could be dealing with heat indices again in the upper 90s. It's not going to be any relief short term here. I think long term as we go out, we might start to see some relief, not this weekend, but the following weekend. So again, we're tracking a lot from the heat to the thunderstorms, and more storms are looking to be active as we head into the 4th forecast. So Haley, there's a lot going on this week. We are hoping that we can maybe get some of the rain and storm chances outside of when fireworks will be going off on Saturday for most. But Rob and I were talking about this earlier. It's during the early morning hours in the 4th of July, right? We have all the parades going can. We have activities where people are going to be out and about, and the storms aren't going to help with that either. So I don't really think there's a best scenario either way around. It just means you really have to be weather aware as we head into the weekend.
Okay, so speaking of being weather aware when it comes to plans that we have, let's say maybe myself and our producer of the Wisconsin Live Desk, Delaney, this is just, I'm just putting this out there.
Yeah.
Let's say we were going to the Brewers game tonight. What are we in store for? I mean, we're going to dress light. We already said we're having a lot of water.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm bringing my portable fan. But I mean, how on the scale of miserable are we going to feel tonight?
Well, let's just say the roof's open right now, and even if they close the roof, it's still going to be humid. It's really hard and takes a long time to air condition American Family Field. But yeah, we're still going to be hanging on to, I don't want to say miserable, but it is going to feel pretty miserable compared to what we typically would see around here, just because even as we head towards the game time, we are going to be dealing with some of those hot and humid conditions. Hang with me. We have another warning, it looks like, so maybe I can get you the latest. I'm just going to see what's fresh off the press and change our graphic around here. So they are issuing that severe thunderstorm warning. We're going to go back to this before I get off here in Sheboygan County. So just like we were talking about, they are dealing with the extension of this severe thunderstorm warning, and it's still moving east at 40 miles an hour, but this is going to be for pretty much the entire county where this supercell is continuing to move through. We are tracking now 2-inch diameter hail and 60 mile per hour wind gusts possible. So this is going to be continuing until 1:30 this afternoon, but it is going to be this storm which we've been talking about that has a history of large hail, and 2-inch hail is not going to be something you want to mess with. So yes, is it cool to see large hail and take pictures? Yes, however, it is very dangerous when the hail gets this large. You can actually put risk to your own body and your vehicle. I will say, if you are in Sheboygan County and this storm is heading your way, if you have a garage you can put it under, that's the best scenario, because this kind of hail will cause not only car damage, but it easily can cause damage to sidings and roofs of houses. So this is a big hail maker, and we're going to have to continue to watch as this moves towards the lake within the next hour or so. So Haley, that's the update right now. Again, all hands on deck here. We have everyone watching the storms carefully, but thankfully it's just one storm we are watching and not a lot of storms, just this one severe thunderstorm that's moving through Fond du Lac and Sheboygan County. If you are heading out to the game, as you mentioned, I don't think you'll have to deal with storms tonight. You just have to deal with the very muggy conditions, and it still is going to be really hot heading into the evening hours.
All right, Lisa, we appreciate you joining us again, obviously keeping us up to the second as we got that alert right there from the fresh off the printer with Lisa Michaels, keeping us all safe. Again, if you can go move your car indoors if you're under that area where the hail is, definitely a good suggestion from Lisa. We'll get another check of the forecast coming up later here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Really quickly want to take us out to North Dakota. That is where President Trump arrived not too long ago to visit the Theodore Roosevelt Library. Obviously, we're used to seeing motorcades when it comes to any presidential visit. What's unique about this one, which I don't know if we're going to be able to see from this angle, it's actually being led by horses. So before all of these flashing lights passed by, and eventually, obviously, the car with President Trump inside, it was a row of horses as they make their way in North Dakota all the way to, again, the Theodore Roosevelt Library. So we'll keep our eye on that visit as well. Really quickly, as we talk about hot weather, then we're going to get out to Jenna Sachs, who's joining us once again here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. We've been talking all about, obviously, the big gig, Summerfest Weekend 3. It's going to look so much different than Weekend 1 and Weekend 2, or if I'm being honest, I was a little chilly in attendance Weekend 1 and 2. This time around, it is going to be very, very hot, very, very humid, especially as we talk about tomorrow and Friday. So they have changed some things around to make sure that we can keep all attendees as safe as possible. You are now allowed to bring in one sealed plastic water bottle. It can be up to 20 ounces into the park, excluding, so you can't bring it into the amphitheater. Anywhere else, you can go and bring in that water bottle. Again, really important here, don't open it before you get into the Summerfest grounds. As long as it is sealed, you will be allowed to bring that in. That will be a great resource to have, and it's something that you will be able to refill, because we want you to drink more than just one water bottle when we're talking about the amount of extreme heat here. They've also going to be doing a couple other things. They're going to have misting stations that will be open. As I mentioned, they're going to have even more water fountain, like refilling stations. And they are bringing in 2 different MCTS buses that are really going to serve as cooling sites. They'll be inside the park at the north and the south end. So if you need a minute or two to sit down and be in some air conditioning, I know you look around the Summerfest grounds, there really aren't a lot of options. They're bringing those options to you with those 2 buses that will be serving as those cooling sites. So if you have tickets, maybe you're seeing some of the headliners. I know Alex Warren and Jelly Roll are going to be there this weekend, and you were really nervous about how you could stay safe. Here are a couple of the updates that they have announced today ahead of course, weekend 3 kicking off again tomorrow. So Grateful Summerfest is obviously weather aware, and they're already going ahead and making some adjustments to make sure we can all enjoy live music but still stay safe as well. Want to go ahead and bring in Jenna Sachs joining us again here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. You are joining us ahead. We're getting kind of a sneak peek, a preview of your Contact 6 piece that's airing tonight, Jenna. So kind of set the scene. What can we expect? I know you're talking all about rent increases kind of in these mobile home parks and people being hit hard by this, Jenna.
Yeah, we spoke with a woman who lives in a mobile home community in Union Grove, and she told us that she gets really nervous every time her lease comes up because she's bracing for a rent increase. Last year, her rent went up about 23% from $482 to $495, and that was quite alarming for her. In these mobile home communities, how it works is you own your house, but you rent the land that it sits on. So that is what the rent is for. Last year, her property was sold to a business out of state called Ravinia Communities. Previously, it was a family-owned business, and after it was sold, this new operator decided they needed to do some capital improvements, needed to do some deferred maintenance, and the rent went up. And she has heard from other neighbors whose leases have already come up that she's facing another rent increase in her upcoming lease. And she's also going to face a water and sewer fee per month, which she hasn't before. And this is a bit of a trend right now in our state with mobile home communities and their renters facing these increases. And obviously we have an affordability issue right now with rent, with affordable housing in our state. And this is just kind of another progression of that. We often think about rent in apartment complexes, but this is another section of our community that's also dealing with affordability.
And I think it's probably something that a lot of us can relate to on some way and manner. I mean, I just renewed my lease, and I know when I got the email, it said, your renewal offer is ready. I kind of, cringed, and I kept my one eye closed to see, how much is this going to go up this year? 23%. I mean, that is a significant hike and increase that it's hard to plan and budget for. I know you mentioned kind of a new owner operator now of the area she lives in. Let's dive into the specifics of their explanation behind such a dramatic rent increase. That's not just, inflation and cost of living here. 23% significant.
Right. We definitely reached out to them. They didn't do an interview with us, but they sent a statement saying when we took over, there was a lot of deferred maintenance and we had to address issues like asphalt and paving. We built a new playground. There's a new pavilion, a dog park. There are new mailboxes, fencing, and other improvements that have been made. Now, when you speak to Kathy, she'll say, well, I didn't move in to keep up with the Joneses. I moved in because I could afford to live here, because it's peaceful, and I have the peace of mind knowing that I can also afford to have a life outside from paying my rent. But this is also something lawmakers have looked at in our state. There is a group of Democratic lawmakers who tried last session to pass a bill that would cap rent hikes in our state, and it was not ever it didn't go past committee. It didn't get scheduled for any public hearings. So they do plan to reintroduce that again next session and see if the numbers in the House and Senate favor them a bit more in the next session, so they're not giving up on this issue.
I mean, certainly legislation that the Democratic lawmakers would support, I imagine people like the woman you spoke to would support. But like any piece of legislation, there's also going to be people who are against it. I know you actually spoke with an association that kind of represents these different types of parks and communities. Why are they not a fan of this proposed legislation?
It's called the Wisconsin Housing Alliance, and they did speak out against this bill the last time it came around. And they said they do want affordable rent for people who live in these communities, but at the same time, they worry that properties will fall into disrepair. If there is a cap on rent, they worry that properties will be sold to other uses. Maybe the community will be closed if this is the case. And they see the issue more as an issue of supply and demand, saying we don't have enough affordable housing in our state, not just apartments, but manufactured home communities. And they say a lot of communities, a lot of counties, cities don't have zoning laws that allow for manufactured homes to come in, and they want that to change. Instead, they feel like addressing supply and demand would prevent people from having a competitive situation where rents are going up to keep up with market rate and keep up with the competition.
I mean, let's talk too about just for the now. Obviously, this piece of legislation, a proposal, an idea, nothing, a matter of fact here. But for this woman that you spoke with, I mean, she has to figure out, can I afford this or do I need to move? When you chatted with her, has she looked into moving?
She's definitely looked into moving. There are costs associated with moving an entire home, first of all. But also, she says, I did a lot of research and all the communities I'm looking at cost just as much as mine or more. So she doesn't think it's feasible for her to move, and she can't find a better option elsewhere. So she does feel like she is kind of stuck in this situation where it used to be that rent would come up every year, maybe $20, $40. Last year it was more than $100, and now she's looking at additional fees that she's facing next year. We don't know exactly what her rent hike will be next year, but she has been warned by neighbors that something is coming.
I just think, again, it's a tough situation to be in when that's such a significant rent increase. And your point about her saying, I'm not trying to keep up with the Joneses. Amenities sound nice, but to your point, that's the first thing to go. When you can't afford a property or a rent, you just need your spot to live and those basic necessities. So, of course, just a difficult situation for this woman. I know a lot of people probably want to tune in, hear her story, hear your report. When can we do that today?
This is actually going to air tonight at 10 on Fox 6 News. It'll also be on our app, Fox Local app, and on fox6now.com after it airs. So I hope people can check it out. And it's probably the beginning of some reporting we'll do on this issue. We'll obviously follow it if the legislation is introduced again next session.
All right, Jenna, we appreciate you joining us once again on the Wisconsin Live Desk to kind of give us that sneak peek preview of your Contact 6 piece that is airing later on tonight. I think a lot of people are going to relate to this one. So thanks, Jenna.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
Again, Jenna Sachs there, our Contact 6 reporter. Going to actually hand things over here to Rob Haswell joining us here on the Live Desk. Because, Rob, we've obviously been watching some different watches and warnings pop up. What is the latest we need to know about?
Yeah, we are keeping a close eye to the north. It's been the north counties that have been the most active for the day today, and it's driving some of this pretty strong thunderstorm activity with very large hail being described as destructive hail by the National Weather Service. Some reports of in excess of 3 inches. That is a sizable hailstone, which obviously can do significant damage if it comes in contact with your car or your roof. So we're going to get a lot of damage reports out of this storm cell. It's a very discrete cell. It's not a widespread impact here, but you can see the intensity, and those are the warning boxes out around it as it pushes its way through northern Sheboygan County right now. The core of this is just south of Greenbush in western Sheboygan County. This is the same one that came through Fond du Lac, now pushing its way farther to the east, and it will continue east, getting over toward the Lake Shore area and right down to right Sheboygan proper, likely within the next 10, 15, 20 minutes or so. And then look at the hail tracker on this. So this is, obviously a way for Doppler radar to extract the intensity of hail, but also the potential size of it. And this is way up on that scale with that 2-3 inch range, certainly verifying on the hail tracker. And you see how quickly that's been moving as well. It's a pretty short loop there. Starts off at about 12:20 something, ends at 12:55. So it's about a 30-minute loop. And it moved from right over top of Fond du Lac, where we've had some reports of 2 and 3 inch size hail, and now moving its way toward the Greenbush area. So if you are in that area, the Greenbush area of Sheboygan County, and anywhere downstream of this, if you will, anywhere off to the east, you need to take immediate cover. Now, this is a destructive hail scenario, so it's a little bit different than what we deal with when we tell you to take cover for a tornado, but this is destructive and dangerous hail. It's dangerous, particularly property, but if you were caught out in this, think about that. That's 3-inch size hail. What is that? Like not softball high size hail, but baseball size hail, tennis ball sized hail. If you're getting hit with that repeatedly, that's of course very unsafe. So definitely move indoors, get to a point where you can be sheltered from any of this hail. And if you're far enough to the east of this and you have time to move the car into the garage, probably do that too. Again, right at the moment it is over Greenbush. Let's step off here and I'll put this into a bit of a loop mode so we can kind of see the movement in the last little while. And you can see, oh yeah, this thing's just racing across the map. So that's just a 1 hour loop. And you can see how quickly that has moved across the area and moved its way on into Sheboygan County. So that's something we'll watch very, very closely for the next little while. The biggest issue with this has been hail, and now we get some reports popping up. Look at this. Let's get this one here. Well, that's just a little under an inch at Elkhart Lake, so that's not too concerning, although that's damaging as well. Eden back in Fond du Lac County, about an inch and a half there as well. But we have had some reports of larger hail than that, and I just heard the computer go off. Steph's getting prepared to take over here. What do they got there, Stephanie?
A 2-inch in Fond du Lac.
Oh, there we go. So there we go. We got a 2-inch hail report. Yeah, Fond du Lac right now, just kind of 2 miles southwest of Fond du Lac. So that was earlier when this was over into Fond du Lac County. And what that helps us do when we get reports like that is it helps us to verify what we're seeing on the radar. When we're getting actual reports on the ground of 2-inch, 3-inch hail, we know that that's what this is capable of producing. And the radar signature and the hail tracker signature hasn't changed. So if it was doing 2- and 3-inch hail back when it was over Fond du Lac looking like that, it's doing the same right over top of Greenbush right now. And that's going to continue east, get over to places like Sheboygan Falls and Sheboygan in pretty short order here. So it's something to keep a close eye on for the next little while. Again, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning that extends right out to the lakeshore areas of Sheboygan County. The focus right now, though, is into western portions over toward the Greenbush area. I want to drill down a little bit and see if we can get a closer look at what's happening. There's Plymouth. You're pretty much up next for this. The leading edge of that is starting to move its way in. The really strong hail core, though, is kind of between the Greenbush area right now. Let me just kind of put a little marker here. Graham Corners and Plymouth. A couple other spots. See if we can pop up a couple spots here. Yeah, I guess that pretty much covers it for that part of the area. And then through Plymouth, and then that will continue off to the east, moving pretty quickly. You saw how fast it was moving across the map there. So that'll take it out toward the Sheboygan area in pretty short order. Johnsonville, Sheboygan Falls, likely within the next 2 or 3 minutes for Johnsonville, next 5 minutes for Sheboygan Falls, then Kohler, and maybe right downtown Sheboygan by about 1:14 if this holds together with its current intensity. And it certainly has been pretty efficiently doing that for the last little while here. So let me just kind of zoom out, show you that time lapse again for the last hour. Even just the last 30 minutes shows a pretty good movement across the map there, and still going strong when it comes to the hail tracker. Look at the storm height on this too. This is a massively tall storm. So right at the core of that there, that's a 50,000 foot plus storm. And if you wonder, on a hot day like this, how is it making ice? Well, it's because it's huge. It goes way up into the vertical, up to the level where the air is cold enough to make that, and it keeps drawing those hailstones back up into that and coating it with more and more ice to the point where it gets so heavy it overcomes the updraft and falls to the ground. And that's why they're 2 and 3 inches in size, because of this very efficient hailmaker right now. So just to recap before we hand it back to the wild desk here, we do have that severe thunderstorm warning. It is in place now. There you go, you have the trimmed update there. So it's out of Fond du Lac County now, so it's in place for western Sheboygan County, all the way east to Sheboygan proper and the lakeshore areas. Within the next 15 minutes, this will likely be over top of Sheboygan and then out over the lake. It is still producing what we call dangerous or destructive sized hail in excess of 2 inches. So if you are in the Plymouth area, Johnsonville area, Greenbush area, you need to move indoors. If you're way out ahead of this, if you're in the Sheboygan area right now, if you're closer to 43 there, and you've got a few minutes, you don't have many, but if you've got 5-10 minutes and you can move the car into the garage and then get yourself inside too, you might save yourself an insurance claim right there. Hail is one of the biggest weather-related insurance claims there are. We'll keep tracking this here on the Wild Desk, and of course keep you updated as new warnings come in.
All right, Rob, thanks so much for that update. You, Lisa, and I know now Steph is in-house, keeping us in the know when it comes to these severe kind of threats that are popping up across our area this afternoon. Okay, Christina Van Zelst is over in the wings. She is ready to take over. She's going to get you all the way to 4 o'clock here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. So I'm going to pull up some of our live cameras throughout the Badger State, give you a live look around Wisconsin as we deal with these hot and now kind of rainy situations happening right now across the Badger State. She's got you from here, though. Thanks so much for joining me today on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Oh.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk on this very hot Wednesday afternoon. It is 1:08. I am going to be with you for the next 3 hours. I've got you here from 1 to 4 o'clock. We are going to start this hour right away with our Stephanie Barkello, who is joining us. Stephanie, I know there's some warnings that just got extended. So what can you tell us about that?
Hi there, Christina. We are watching that main cell that's been in Sheboygan County. It originated in Fond du Lac County. Kind of been watching severe weather on and off over the last couple of hours, but this is the main cell. It is approaching Sheboygan and the lakeshore. The severe thunderstorm warning, there's technically 2 boxes. The storm is pretty big, so covering a pretty large area. Both of those warnings continue until 1:45, so it's about 1:09. So this is still going to continue for quite some time, and this is purely for the potential of very large hail. We're talking the potential of 3-inch size hail, which is essentially the size of baseballs, and this storm has a history of producing large hail in parts of Fond du Lac County when it was just off towards the west. In fact, we got a couple more reports, not quite to that 3-inch mark, but again, still some pretty large hail. 1.5 inches in diameter in Fond du Lac, another 1.5 inch report. Earlier we had a 1-inch report also from parts of that county. So again, this has a history of producing large hail, and that's primarily what we are looking at here. This is the hail core within this storm. So this again is our hail tracker. It looked like this when it was in eastern portions of Fond du Lac County, producing some of that 1 to 1.5 inch size hail, and it still looks the same. So it is absolutely possible that even as this moves closer to the lakeshore, that it's producing large hail, gusty wind, likely some heavy rainfall. Couple of hail reports across Sheboygan County. Those actually I think are new. So I'm going to step off screen real quick and check to see what those are, because we've talked about the hail in Fond du Lac County, but let's check in with some of these Sheboygan ones. It looks like almost to inch size hail in Elkhart Lake, and Rob may have covered these, so I may be repeating what he said, but still here's another one from again less than 1 inch, but still that's large hail, dime size in parts of oh, you know what? My mind already forgot what that said. Plymouth, I believe, is what that report said. So again, this series does have the potential to bring in some large hail. It's got a history of producing large hail. The good news is that it is going to be out over the lake in just about 30 to 45 minutes. But until then, you know, places like Sheboygan Falls to the lakeshore will be dealing with this cell. And again, it is pretty big. It is northern to central portions of that county. Oostburg just south of it, not even included in the warning, but everybody else up towards the north. Make sure you're staying inside until this storm passes, because again, hail, especially with the potential of being that big, is not something to play with. We could see a lot of damage from this hail, as well as injuries if you are outside. So heed the warnings, stay inside until this cell passes. I promise it's not that much longer. Again, Sheboygan, this is moving in the next couple of minutes, and then the bulk of the strongest part of that cell is going to be out over Lake Michigan. Now, of course, the other big story is the fact fact that it is day 3 of heat and humidity. We still have an extreme heat warning that continues until tonight. Now, the northern lakeshore and, of course, Fond du Lac dealing with this storm temperatures. I feel like temperature is a little bit lower, but we do have a handful of spots already up to about 100 for a feel like, and that's West Bend, Watertown, Burlington, Waukesha, and Milwaukee still very hot with feel likes in the mid-90s. Now, the last couple of days, our hottest heat indices have come later in the afternoon, between about 2 and 5 p.m. So just know that we're going to continue to climb temperature-wise. Dew points, of course, on the high side, and most of us have sunshine. But in the near term, I'll go back for you so that we can talk more about this storm again. Hail going to be the biggest part of this severe warned cell approaching Sheboygan, still just off towards the west. But again, a good chunk of that county under a severe thunderstorm warning until 1:45. The broader view actually shows quiet conditions, not much more out towards the west. So this could be, the bulk of what we see throughout the remainder of the afternoon. But in the coming days and even later tonight, we will start to see more of these storm chances increasing. The good news is that everybody else, all of southeast Wisconsin, dry. It really is just this main cell in Sheboygan County. So 1:45 is when this warning expires, but there is still the potential for large hail as it approaches Sheboygan and the lakeshore. If I get any more reports, I will make sure that Christina. For now, though, we'll continue to watch this and just focus on more heat and more humidity.
And Steph, I do have a quick question for you. I know a lot of people are talking about severe weather exhaustion. We've had a lot in the last couple of weeks and months. Do you have any advice for people as they're watching this storm come in? Just, are we at the end of this severe weather? I know it's Wisconsin in the summertime, but there is that talk of it being exhausting, having all of these storms roll in the last couple weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. It has been so active. May was kind of our break, but April was very active, as we all remember, and then the beginning of June very active. The last couple of days, yes, it's been heat and humidity, but going forward, as we see this ridge of high pressure beginning to break down and a cold front approaching us and kind of stalling, it is going to keep a chance for storms and, yes, maybe even severe weather in through the remainder of the week. And even over the weekend, there does appear to be a chance for some storms. I would just say, don't let your guard down. Don't assume that every storm is going to be strong. But we do have a risk across northern communities today for some severe weather, and it's more so for what we have right now. So the good news is that the rest of the afternoon is looking a lot quieter, so we will be able to breathe that sigh of relief. Tomorrow, we're all under a slight risk, and Friday, we may actually be under a risk as well. So make sure you know what you're looking at. Those Storm Prediction Center convective outlooks that we put out. If we're not in a convective outlook, the chance for severe weather is very low. So we'll show that when we have the chance, and then it's just good to be aware of that so you'll know that there is a chance for severe weather. But I would just say pay attention. Not every storm is going to be severe, but we will let you know when there is that chance. And of course, still take it seriously. Whether it's a tornado threat or a hail threat, all of these could still be damaging. So just stay tuned to the forecast is my best advice, and we will get you through it all.
Yes, we know that all of our Fox 6 weather experts will keep us safe and updated. And if you do get any updates on this storm, and if that's extended, let us know.
Yes, we will. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Steph. So as we know, it's been a really hot week. As Stephanie mentioned, there are some storms there. 45 minutes approximately left on that warning. We will check back in with her if anything gets extended or changes in that weather. Switching gears a little bit, though, we want to bring in a guest that we have from the Ronald McDonald Charities. We are going to bring in Erica. And hi, Erica. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Oh, I got to turn your volume up. Sorry. There we go.
Can you hear me now?
I can. All right.
Great.
So Erica, want to talk to you. It's Wishlist Wednesday. What do you want our viewers to know on this Wednesday and the program you're focusing on during this interview?
Yeah, so just wanted to share a little bit more about our meal program and some gaps that we have that we would love the support of the community to kind of rally around us and help us, make sure that we can continue to serve, dinner 6 nights a week to our families. Some of the best feedback that we get is about our meal program and about how helpful it is in just relieving some of the stress that families have. They're staying, at the Ronald McDonald House because they may be traveling from really far. Their child may be, sick or undergoing treatment. And so one thing that we really do well is make sure that our families are taken care of on the food end of things. We're working to, support and ensure the best health outcomes for kids. And a big part of that is supporting the family that is here staying at the house. If they're taken care of, they can take care of their kiddos. So through our family meal program, volunteers help relieve that stress of meal planning and preparation that families often have by providing dinner. So we offer it Monday through Thursday and then Saturday and Sunday, so families expect meals on those days. And we do have a few dates coming up that are available for a group to come in and help us make and serve a meal.
Speaking of some of those dates, I know there's one coming up on the 6th and then the 7th. If someone wants to sign up to volunteer for doing this, how do they do that?
Yeah, so you can head to our website. It's rmhc-easternwi.org, and there'll be a tab called Ways to Help, and under that, it'll be our family meal program, and on there, it's really easy. You just put your information in, and then you're able to sign up, let us know what you're bringing to make the families, and then you'll be connected with our culinary program manager who will help make sure you have a good experience and you're able to kind of support the families.
For people who aren't familiar with the Ronald McDonald House, what is it that you guys do? And this is kind of a double question here, but how big is this need, especially in the summer?
Yeah, so the Ronald McDonald House, our mission is, and we're a local chapter, there's a global charity and all of that, but we're a locally operated chapter. And so our really ultimate goal is to break down barriers and to improve health outcomes for children. And we do that by providing lodging. So if a family is traveling from far away, if, maybe 20-minute drive is too far because their child is not doing well, we're able to kind of, be a resource and provide for families that are staying here. And kind of outside of just providing a bed, we really try to make it a home. There's a sense of community, knowing that there are 83 other families that are, undergoing, other things, and similar things that maybe you are, kind of creates just relatability and a sense of community between everybody that's here. So, and especially during the summer, our meal program is just incredibly important. In the summer, parents don't have schools to send their kids to where they're maybe receiving lunch. Also, more siblings are coming to the house because of that reason. So that means more people at the house, that's more mouths to feed, more food to provide. And, we just want to make sure that our families have that consistent meal and know that they can rely on it and know that it's one less thing, that they have to think about.
And for people watching who maybe want to volunteer and bring in meals, are there any restrictions or things that you specifically look for when someone is bringing something in for this meal program, food-wise?
Yeah, so we really are open to the creativity of the group and what they bring. Just general restrictions are that we all the food has to be prepared on site or it has to be prepared in a commercial kitchen. So unfortunately, people can't make things at home and then bring them here to serve just for food safety reasons. The immunocompromised nature of a lot of our families and our kids is really important to us. So just making sure that we're not introducing anything. And then we do ask that, all individuals are 18 or over, they're in a kitchen environment. They have the support of the house and of our meal program coordinator that can help get them, set up to serve these families. So we whatever people want to bring, whatever they're comfortable making, we can also provide some suggestions, some recipes, and things like that.
Something about a home-cooked meal really hits different, I feel like. Erica, is there anything else that we haven't covered that you want our viewers to know?
No, I don't think so. I think I would just share a little bit more about the volunteer experience of actually coming in and making a meal. It's really cool to see that firsthand impact of kind of what you're doing, because you're literally serving the families that are staying at the house food. It's not a thankless activity. These families are so grateful and appreciative for the groups that are coming in. And also it just helps inspire other people to do it. You can share your experience coming to the house and doing this. And you also get to meet all of the dedicated volunteers that are helping run this house, and the staff members that are here. And it really is just an awesome experience.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. I know we have a list of dates here. We will post those on our website as well. Plenty of opportunities, though, if anybody wants to come volunteer and be a part of this amazing work that you guys do. Erica, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, stay cool out there.
You too.
Thanks. So again, that was Erica with the Ronald McDonald House Charities talking about the family meal program that they have going on. If you're interested, the next date you can sign up is for Monday, the 6th. They also have another opportunity on July 7th, 12th, 18th, 20th, 25th, and 26th. So a lot of opportunities there in the month of July. If you are interested in helping out, I think she described it perfectly on what this means for the families who are staying there, and just what it means, especially during these summer months. So plenty of opportunities again, and we will have that linked on our website as well. We are going to take a quick break here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, and we'll be right back with you in about 2 minutes.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. It is 1:25 on your Wednesday afternoon. It's a hot one out there. We have been following this record-breaking heat all week. Hope you're hanging in there. Hope you're staying hydrated this week. It didn't really feel like summer to me until the last couple weeks, and now I'm regretting wishing for this hot weather, because here we are, and it is dangerous. So, again, make sure you're staying hydrated more so than you probably normally would. And sometimes people suggest electrolytes if that is something that you like. I love a good electrolyte in my water bottle, especially during these times. And just stay safe out there. We've had a lot of health experts on our coverage this week, reminding people who are maybe more at risk. Yesterday we did coverage about people who have asthma. This weather could be more difficult for you. I did a story about medications that could make you more at risk for heat exhaustion, and we actually interviewed a ER doctor who said that on Monday they had already seen people in the ER with heat-related exhaustion, just without air conditioning. So it is dangerous. So make sure you hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. We can't say that enough. We are going to head over to our breaking news crew. Bria Jones is in our breaking news truck, and she is at a scene in Slinger. Bria, hello. Thank you so much for joining us here. What can you tell us about the scene you're at right now?
Hi, Christina. We are currently on the scene of what appears to be a crash at this moment. We are in the area of Slinger. As you can see, there are a few emergency vehicles in front of us. I can see right now, just they've had this out. We've been here for at least about 10 to 15 minutes now at this point. But as you can see, at this point, it appears the scene is winding down. I'm not really seeing any as more of the sense of urgency. At this point, I see a lot of them getting into their emergency response vehicles and preparing to just sort of reload the stretchers. But we were sent over here for a crash here. We're on 175 South. This is near Hillside, so we're right off of the side of the road near the train tracks here. But it appears at this point that I see one person going into the stretcher. Obviously, I'm not going to zoom in on that, but I can tell you just from what I can see right here, because we are a safe distance away, one person is currently being loaded into a stretcher, and we were sent here for what we believe to be a crash. And from one of the deputies, he did send us around. They've kind of been diverting traffic, obviously, again, on 175 South here, so that people obviously can avoid this area. So if this is a longer route here in Washington County, please avoid this area. Again, this is the area of 175 South near Hillside, right by the train tracks here. So one person at least is getting into the back of this ambulance. The fire, there are different jurisdictions here. I saw a Richfield emergency response vehicle leave the scene about 10 minutes or so ago. The fire truck that I'm looking at appears to be from Slinger. It has Slinger on it. And then the deputies that are blocking off the scene here are with the Washington County Sheriff's Office. So I can at least see one of the cars involved in this incident here. It's kind of... It seems that it was turned at some point because it's facing into the road instead of going in a specific direction. The car at some point, whatever impact may have happened, has kind of spun out and it's now facing into the road. And so one person has been removed from the scene and is now in the back of one of the ambulances, as you guys just saw live here unfolding on the Wisconsin Live Desk. And now the drivers are getting into the emergency response vehicles, the ambulances here, and they will be leaving the scene just momentarily. But there are still some first responders on the scene. When we got here, I probably saw, because we had to find a different route to be able to get to this vantage point, because again, they are blocking off traffic. And I'm looking behind me here. I don't want to move too far off the scene, but I want to show you guys what we're talking about. Again, this is 175 South. This is the train tracks I was telling you about. And I'm going to try to zoom out here and turn around so that you all can see that traffic is, this is obviously a very popular area, and traffic at this point is being diverted. So if you're in this area, of course, and if this is a longer route, that's the deputy there I was telling you about. He is taking people, sending them on either side of Hillside here. But I want to turn the camera back around because that ambulance is preparing to leave here. So give me just a moment to turn this camera around so you all can get a vantage point again of the scene. But this is 175 South near Hillside, and as you can see, I was just saying that the person, the ambulance is going to come by us just momentarily, but I saw at least one person being loaded into the stretcher. And now that they are leaving, I can see that car that I was telling you about. It does have an airbag in the front seat that appears to be deployed in the window, and the door of that car is open. So we are on the scene of a crash here. I'm not really sure how many vehicles are involved because at this point I can only see one car that has the airbag deployed and appears to have some sort of impact. But usually I can say, just from being on a lot of scenes, ambulances, they don't wait around. Christina, we go to a lot of scenes that are very active, very fluid, and once they load that person in, they're out of here. And so the fact that they have been here at least for the last 20 minutes now since we've been here, and the sirens are not blaring, that is a good sign that whoever they put in that stretcher, we can assume that they expect that person to be okay, just because the sense of urgency is not there in this moment. But I think that once they leave, I'll be able to get a better viewpoint of exactly the scene here, so we can see how many cars are involved in this incident. But for those who are just not tuning in, we are on the scene of a crash. This is on 175 South near Hillside. We are in the Slinger area. This is in Washington County. They have the deputies that are kind of blocking off the traffic in both directions. So if this is along your route, please know that you cannot pass through this area. They will send you in a different direction as they're working to clear this scene. And we probably got the call. Okay, so this is, now we're getting a better look. This is a head-on collision, as you can see there. Now that the ambulance has moved, you can see the impact here. These two cars colliding with each other. And so it appears that the top of one of the cars has been removed, which would probably, that does go along with what we were hearing, that someone may have been extracted from one of the vehicles. And so I can just tell you from what I can see here, the airbag is deployed in that black vehicle, and then there appears to be, I believe that color is gold. It's a light brown gold colored vehicle that appears to have the roof taken off at this point, unless it was a drop top, but it appears that there is no top on that car. And the Slinger Fire Department, they are here. We have the Washington County Sheriff's Office here. Their deputies are diverting traffic, and at this point it appears that the scene is dying down, and the next steps here would be, now that the ambulances are leaving, this other ambulance, I believe that is the one actually though that I saw someone being loaded into the stretcher. And so once they leave, the next step obviously is to get your crime scene photos or your crash site photos, and then they will clear this path, and I can see all of the debris there. So I can't even imagine exactly what that impact was like for these two cars, because there is a lot of, if I can zoom in a little bit, there's a lot of debris there on the road where these two cars have collided with each other. And so of course we have our calls in. The Slinger Fire Department, they said they're not handling this. I know they're on the scene, but they said they told our assignment as they are not the main agency here. So we do have calls also into the Washington County Sheriff's Office, just so we can learn exactly what happened here and the extent of the injuries, because I can tell you at least one person, just from what I saw, was put in the back of that stretcher just within a few minutes ago, live here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. But you can definitely see the impact as the crews start to clear out here. These two vehicles were involved in some sort of collision, and I'm trying to figure out how this may have happened, just because the way that the two cars are coming towards each other. As you can see, this is a 2-lane road, and so I don't think there's a turn up there unless I'm mistaken. I'm not really sure exactly how these two cars would have crossed paths without someone perhaps going over the median or not. But that's something obviously that we will have to wait to learn and get that information, of course, from the agency who is handling this crash investigation.
Yeah, Bria, thank you so much for these updates as we're watching this unfold here. I'm curious, were you able to get a look at the speed limit on that street?
The speed limit, yes, the speed limit on the street is 55 miles per hour. That's okay. I can zoom out a little bit and
because it almost looks like there is a little bit of a curve there, but it's hard to say.
It is a little bit of a slight curve, but I wouldn't think it would be the way that the cars are positioned, I'm not exactly sure how they collided with each other. Just because someone would have had to cross over this median or this yellow line here for there to be, because these cars hit head on.
And have you gotten any word from the deputy there on when traffic might be, now that it appears the ambulances have left? I'm assuming next they'll do the crash reconstruction and then tow those vehicles. Any word on timeline for people in the area of when this might be cleared?
We don't have any word yet on the timeline. We got here about 20 minutes or so I spoke to the deputies on both sides when we first got here. They did not give a timeline on when exactly. I hear some sirens, okay, that's the ambulance is leaving. So the next steps, as you just said, to do the reconstruction, to take the photographs, and then to clear, and then to bring in the tow trucks to remove these cars. But now that, at this point, as you can see, there are only 2 emergency response vehicles that remain closer to the scene. And so that's usually a sign that the scene is dying down. And so I would probably estimate it to be as soon as those tow trucks can get here and remove the cars, that is what would happen next. And so if they're not already en route, they should be en route soon. So I hate to put a number out there, but within the next hour, this should be clear.
Bria Jones reporting from Slinger. Thank you so much. And if you get any updates out there, we'll be sure to check back in, but we appreciate it. Bria, thanks. Again, that was Bria Jones reporting from Highway 175 at a pretty serious looking crash there. That is the roof camera of our breaking news vehicle. We will bring you updates when we do get information from first responders on what led up to this crash. As Bria mentioned, one person she saw was taken away in an ambulance. Of course, we hope they are okay. It did not seem like that was a very urgent ambulance right away from this scene, but of course our crews got there after this had already happened, so it's not clear how many people could have potentially been injured in this crash. Again, this is in Slinger on Highway 175 and Hillside Road. If you're in that area, you heard Bria say that there's a deputy moving traffic away from this road, so avoid the area. And if we get any updates, we will bring them to you as soon as we get them. We are going to take a 2-minute break here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, and coming up, we are going to have a breaking news update from our weather experts on that extended heat warning, extreme heat. So we will have that for you in 2 minutes. Stay with us.
Wisconsin Live Desk.
Welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. As you know, it has been so hot this week, and we want to right away bring in our weather expert, Stephanie Barrichello, because she has an update for us about how this extreme heat is actually going to be longer than we originally maybe expected. Hey, Steph.
Got an update from the National Weather Service that the extreme heat warning now extended until 10 p.m. on Thursday. The good news is that despite the extra day, I do think the hottest was actually yesterday. It's still very hot and humid out there right now, but because of the storm that we just saw across Fond du Lac and Sheboygan County, we're seeing a bit more cloud cover. Dew points aren't actually as high as yesterday, so we still have some feel likes absolutely in the triple digits, but I do think today, tomorrow, we will settle with heat indices around 100 to 102. Again, still very hot, but yesterday, the day before, we had a lot of 107s, 108s. So I guess if there is a little bit of a plus side there, I do think the hottest is maybe behind us. Keep in mind, though, that places like West Bend and Watertown feel like 101 degrees right now. Milwaukee, Waukesha, mid-90s, upper 90s for Racine. Sheboygan cooler, of course, because that storm just now passed out over Lake Michigan. But even Fond du Lac is beginning to recover right now temperature-wise. So even though you've got a little bit of rain-cooled air near you, expect the next couple of hours to really heat up. Also worth mentioning that the last couple of days, the hottest period of the day was between 2 and about 5 p.m. So we're getting there right now. It's almost 145, but we are going to continue to climb from here. A good sign, though, that dew points aren't quite as high as the last couple of days. So the remainder of this afternoon, we will likely continue to see heat indices upper 90s, low 100s. Still a very warm night ahead with temperatures staying in the 70s. And again, tomorrow afternoon, a mix of the same, some upper 90s, some low triple digits. Friday, more uncertainty because we have a thunderstorm chance, and we do have a thunderstorm chance Thursday too. That could actually help us out a little bit. We'll see. Friday may end up being an additional heat advisory, or we may end up lucking out and seeing some of those temperatures drop a bit more because of the rain that's in the forecast. So that's your heat update. Check out this hailstone.
Wow.
So we've been focusing, Christina, on this severe thunderstorm warning that started in Fond du Lac County, moved east through Sheboygan County. That cell is out over the lake now. The warning was allowed to expire early, so all is calm now in southeast Wisconsin. But I'm sure you can continue to hear my printer going off. These are all hail reports. Look at this hailstone. I would argue that that is at least baseball size hail. I know it's not perfectly circular there, but that would be almost 3 inches in diameter. This is in Plymouth, sent in from our viewer Stacy. And I've seen a lot of other reports of at least 1 to 2 inch size hail. Starting to see more pictures filtering in too. So I'll continue to put those into our system and really update you guys. But yeah, certainly warned for a reason. Just another quick update though, that cell is out over the lake. The warning has expired. Even the hail has decreased as it's moved out over Lake Michigan. I'll dive into some more of these reports after I'm done here with you, but a lot of the reports are actually still coming in from Fond du Lac County. So I do imagine we're really in the next hour going to continue to see more in Sheboygan County now that the cell is out. And just one look at the bigger picture here. We're quiet in southern Wisconsin. We do have a boundary over us, though, so it's very possible that we still see some pop-up thunderstorms throughout the remainder of the afternoon, but all is well here locally. We'll continue to watch it. There is some more activity towards the west. Looks like maybe far northeastern Iowa moving into southwest Wisconsin. We'll watch that. Nothing menacing right now, thankfully, but all of this will continue to track northeast. So again, Dodge, maybe Fond du Lac County, certainly still could see a little bit more later this afternoon, and then we'll just need to watch if anything else pops more isolated to scattered really from here on out. These boundaries are oftentimes from initial storms. So the storm that just moved through those northern communities, setting us up for potentially more development. But again, all is calm at the moment. We will continue to look at a lot of those hail reports from here. And just to fully recap, that extreme heat warning has been extended to 10 p.m. on Thursday. So I think that's the very latest from us here. I'm going to knock on wood that I have nothing else big to tell you, Christina, but we'll of course let you know if we come across anything else.
All right, Steph, thank you so much. A busy week for you and all of our Fox 6 weather experts here. As you heard Stephanie say, that extreme heat warning extended to 10 p.m. on Thursday. Speaking of the heat, if you are looking for ways to cool off, Maybe you want to get on a boat this holiday weekend. A lot of people, I'm sure, will be doing just that. And we have a special guest joining us here ahead of the holiday weekend, Lieutenant John Sinclair from the Wisconsin DNR. Hello, Lieutenant. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
So I know we're talking about cooling down on a boat, but obviously there are some safety tips as it's going to, I'm assuming if the weather holds up, be a busy weekend on the waters of our state. What do you want people to know or remember as they head into the 4th of July?
Yeah, great question. So, I will put in the pitch that this weekend is actually Operation Dry Water, which is a nationwide effort to address intoxicated boating, again, throughout the country. And so the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources and our conservation wardens will be participating in that effort, along with our local partners and our Coast Guard partners. And so we're making a big push to try and educate boaters on the perils of being impaired while you're operating a boat. And we're also trying to remove people that are impaired from the water to keep everybody else safe. So, when I think about the broader topics that we're always focused on when it comes to water safety, we're thinking about having not just life jackets, but enough for every person on board that boat and of the right size for every person on board that boat. We want to make sure that people operating that boat have been through a boater education course. And we want to make sure that they're operating responsibly and sober. Those are some of the key takeaways I would say that we're trying to really push out this season.
When your crews are out on the waters this weekend, what's something you're looking for? I know I've seen DNR out. What do you look for when people are on a boat? Just in terms of how can you tell if someone's been impaired? What's like the number one thing you might see on the water?
Well, it's a good question. Obviously, out on the waterways is a much different environment than maybe somebody like a state trooper stopping someone on an interstate. But in fact, sometimes the clues are not so different. And so we're watching behaviors of boaters on the water. Are they engaged in highly risky or illegal activities as they're operating around? Are they getting too close to other people or swimmers or the shoreline? Are they operating with passengers in places they shouldn't be, like hanging their feet over the bow as they're driving through the water? So we certainly look at those types of behaviors. We're ensuring, do they have their navigation lights activated during the hours of darkness? Do they have the correct registration on the boat, much like a license plate on a car? And so those are different ways that we, keep an eye on things and also make contact with boaters. And then once we've made contact, we're looking for, very similar clues to your average police officer might look for, such as, glossy eyes, alcohol on their breath, open containers on the boat, things of that nature.
When it comes to the 4th of July, we always hear how it's one of the busiest weekends on the water for boating. Is that true? Is that what you're expecting this weekend in terms of numbers of people out on the water?
Yeah, absolutely. We've consistently seen the 4th of July be probably our busiest weekend for conservation wardens around the state. And that's to include all our waterways, that's to include our state parks and state forests. But I think with the heat here that you just heard about, we're going to see a lot of people out on the water. Certainly boaters, but you think about boaters, there could also be sailboats, paddle sports enthusiasts, and swimmers. And so there's just a lot of people sharing these waterways. And Wisconsin has a lot of waterways, right? But it doesn't take much to really get them packed with people. And that's when we start to get concerned about, are people paying attention? Are they carrying the proper safety gear? And are they keeping an eye out for others around them so they can recreate respectfully and safely?
If you do find someone who is not abiding by the rules, is it a ticket? Do they get arrested? What's the consequence there?
So the answer is both. So yes, when someone is found to be or suspected to be impaired, so that could be high or intoxicated by alcohol, we have the same standards as you would have to operate a motor vehicle in Wisconsin. So there's no exception that you can be more drunk on a boat than you can be in a car or a truck. It's all the same. But we would place that person under arrest. They would receive citations or potentially more severe consequences depending on if they've had prior violations of intoxicated laws, etc. But it would result in them being arrested and removed from the waterway. That's correct.
What if someone's watching? What's the number one thing you really want viewers to remember this weekend? If you're an experienced boater or not, number one takeaway as we head into the 4th of July, what would that be?
I'm going to give you two.
All right.
Have your life jacket and wear it, and make sure your passengers are wearing it too. And also keep an eye out all around the boat because other people are enjoying the waterways, and it's really important that everyone plays their part to keep each other safe.
Yeah, some great reminders ahead of the holiday weekend. Lieutenant Sinclair, thank you so much. We hope you stay safe and cool out there as well. You know, I guess that actually leads into another question. How do you guys stay cool this weekend?
It's a great question. Big hats and bottles of ice water, and occasionally taking breaks to get off the water and find some shade.
Love it. Well, thank you again for your time and all of those great reminders. We do appreciate having you here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, and happy 4th of July.
Thanks again. You too.
All right. Some good reminders there from the Wisconsin DNR. Again, as we head into a really busy week on the water here at the 4th of July, it's going to be hot. So if that's your way of cooling down, power to you, but just stay safe. Again, you could be arrested or fined. Speaking of the 4th of July, as we know, it is America's 250th anniversary, celebration, birthday, however you want to put it. It is a big weekend. And joining us now, we are going to bring in Jason Calvi, who has been covering a story. Oops. There you are, Jason. Hello. Let me turn your volume up.
You talked about July 4th, Christina, and we're getting ready to celebrate that big semi-quincentennial. So that's what we're looking at. We're doing a series of stories looking at how Wisconsin's really impacted the whole country over the history of this country, 250 years, as we celebrate the semi-quincentennial. Fun word to say, huh, Christina?
Yeah, it's not my favorite. What's the story specifically that you're working on today? I know it has a Wisconsin tie to it.
Yeah, you know, Benjamin Franklin famously said there's two certainties in life, and that's death and taxes. And when you look at one of those certainties, you can really think or maybe potentially swear at Wisconsin because they helped bring to birth, guess what? One of those taxes that everybody pays every April as you're getting ready to fill out your income tax reports to the federal and state governments. Well, you can thank Wisconsin because they really led the charge on the national level to start the income tax, the modern income tax. So the modern income tax that we all pay right now, its birthplace is, yes, right here, Wisconsin.
Wow. So for the significance of that as we head into the 250th, I mean, how does this, if you're watching this at home, what is the significance to our viewers to have that, you know, this be the birthplace for the income tax?
I think, you know, it dates back to 1911. And when you look at the history of Wisconsin in 1911, it gave so many, it was really the leader in so many things that took place that the country now takes for granted maybe. The modern income tax, the workers' comp, and other things were started in Wisconsin in 1911. It was really a big year for the state. There was something called the Wisconsin Way, where you had scholars and intellectuals of the University of Wisconsin-Madison who were thinking about things, but they were also trying to think through policies that could then be practically implemented in the state. So there was this whole Wisconsin Way that was going on at this point in time. And the Wisconsin idea was taking the scholarship, the research, and trying to implement it into actual practice, into actual policy. And one of those things was this state income tax. And it was really interesting looking at the history of the income tax because it was really an effort of the working class. It was an effort of farmers and the working class teaming together and asking for an income tax. Why? Why would they ask for an income tax? Because at that point in time, your taxes to the state government, it was property taxes. And so farmers and the working class really felt like there was iniquity, there was inequality at play in that the wealthy had a lot of what was called intangible wealth. So that was stocks and bonds. They might have had stocks in the railroad or stocks in this company or that company. And that was supposed to be taxed under the way property taxes were handled back in the 1900s. But it was hard to track that if you had a lot of your what was called intangible wealth in things like stocks and bonds. So the working class, the farmers, really led this push to have an income tax that you would be taxed based on your income. And what was interesting about back when this was implemented in 1911 is that most of the people in Wisconsin were actually exempted from the income tax. You had to make a certain threshold of money, and most Wisconsinites at that point in time were actually exempted from the income tax. So it really, at that point in time, was a tax on the rich.
Interesting. I love hearing about the history back in 1911. That is awesome. And tell our viewers who you're talking to for this story, who they can expect to hear from later today.
Yeah, so our story is going to run tonight in the 4 o'clock news class right here on Fox Local. So I hope you can check that out at 4 o'clock, 4:15. It's probably going to run. And what was interesting was talking to both a scholar at the national level and then a scholar in Wisconsin. And the scholar at the national level was Ajay Maratra. He's a professor at Northwestern University just down the road in the Chicago suburbs. He's also a professor at the American Bar Foundation and wrote a book on the topic. His book is called Modern American Fiscal State Law, Politics, and the Rise of Progressive Taxation, 1877 through 1929. So he's really an expert on this time period that we're talking about, 1911. What's interesting is looking at the history of income taxes in the United States. There were income taxes on the books during the Civil War, and that was just seen as sort of a temporary income tax to help fund the Civil War. But those went away, and so it's really what happened in Wisconsin, what we call sort of the modern income tax, really sees its birthplace as Wisconsin, because they were able to come up with a way to track incomes and to monitor that, and then to tax people based on their incomes in ways that other states hadn't been able to do. There was kind of this movement, the populist movement, Williams, Jennings and Bryant and others of the progressive era were pushing for this income tax because they said it was going to lead to equality, more equality, when there was, think about the Industrial Revolution and how you had people flocking to live in the cities and work in the factories, but there was seen as sort of this really big inequality between the wealthy and the working class. And so this was a push of the working class and of farmers to move away from the property tax, which was the main way that states funded government before 1911 and before Wisconsin started the income tax, was property taxes. And at the federal level, the federal government was funded before this discussion with things like tariffs and special taxes on alcohol and tobacco. So that's the way the federal government funded itself, and the state governments was funded by property taxes. There was, during the Civil War, this temporary time of an income tax to help fund the Civil War. But 1911, Wisconsin comes around, passes, makes this the law of the land to have an income tax in Wisconsin, the first state to successfully manage it and to successfully put this on the books and to successfully bring in that money to the state. So that was 1911. And guess what? 2 years later, the federal government has the 16th Amendment, which makes the income tax a national option, or a national tax. So long story short, the discussion in those 2 years, seeing what Wisconsin was able to successfully do with its income tax to bring in money to the state, that really was a momentum for this national discussion to have an income tax at the national level. So if you pay the income tax, which most of us do, you can thank Wisconsin for getting that set up in the modern era in 1911.
And Jason, it seems maybe obvious, but why talk about this as we also are celebrating America's 250th?
Yeah, I think it's important to look at the great impact that Wisconsin had on the entire country. And so when you look at that one special year of 1911 and you think about the first successful state income tax on the books, and then you look at other things that happened, the first workers' comp program in the country set up in 1911 right here in Wisconsin, and then also in 1911, the first state to implement a registered apprenticeship program was Wisconsin, 1911. It was a huge year for the state of Wisconsin and really showed the country what was possible, and led, I think, 2 years later, 1913, to the 16th Amendment being ratified, and that was this push to which opened up the door for an income tax at the federal level, which now we're all paying 115 years later since the state passed this, 115 years of taxes at the state level here in Wisconsin.
Well, Jason, thank you so much for taking us back through history. It's a lot of interesting information that maybe people in Wisconsin didn't even know, that we are the birthplace for the income tax. And you said your report will be on around 4:15?
Yeah, it's going to be on during the 4 o'clock newscast right here on Fox Local, so I hope you can check it out and then share your thoughts for and against the income tax. It is really, what I thought was really incredible was just to see how this was really a working class movement to start the income tax, because they thought it was going to help lead to equality, because a lot of the wealthy had their money in things that were supposed to be property taxes for stocks and bonds. It's hard to track all that, so they said, hey, these wealthy should be paying an income tax. And at the original time in 1911, most of the state was exempted because they didn't make enough money to qualify for the income tax. So just really fascinating story to delve into, and I hope you can join me at 4 o'clock right here on Fox Local.
Jason, thank you so much. I look forward to it too, and I also look forward to hearing from the national and the local perspective. It'll be interesting. So we appreciate you joining us here on the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Thanks so much, Christina.
All right, that was Jason Calby reporting from the newsroom here at Fox 6, taking a look at America's 250th birthday, but also how Wisconsin played a role and is the birthplace for the country's income tax. So a lot of interesting information from Jason there. Again, his report will be on at 4 o'clock tonight. If you want to dive into more of that information from Jason, he will have that also on the Fox Local app. We are going to take a break here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, and we will be right back with you in 2 minutes, where we plan to hear from our Bria Jones, who is on the scene of a crash in Slinger. She is out talking to a deputy, and hopefully will have an update for us on that situation. Stay with us. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
The Wisconsin Live Desk.
Welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. It's 2:05 on your Wednesday hot afternoon. We've been talking all about the weather. We heard from our weather expert, Stephanie Barrichello, who updated us that this extreme heat warning is extended now to Thursday at 10 p.m. Let's look outside where it looks hot. It's almost like you can see the humidity in the air there. A beautiful shot of our city. This is our Estabrook Tower Cam. Again, if you are maybe feeling like this might be a good time to get into Lake Michigan, I would recommend, because it is, again, extremely hot out there, dangerous conditions. We've been talking about the weather all week, and just reminders to stay hydrated and stay in the air conditioning if you can. Some of those signs of heat exhaustion are things like headaches, nausea, muscle fatigue, muscle cramping. So if that's you or someone you know, get inside to air conditioning as soon as possible. Let's take you around Milwaukee to the shot of American Family Field, also looking a little steamy there. In some of our cameras, it's almost like you can see the humidity in the camera. So we are going to continue talking about this heat, as it is, of course, our big story of this entire week. Stephanie Barrichello again telling us that the heat warning is extended until Thursday at 10 p.m. If you've been tuning into the Wisconsin Live Desk over the last hour, we were checking in with our very own Bria Jones, who was at a crash in Slinger. I believe we have her here for an update, so we're going to bring in Bria now. All right. Hello, Bria. I know you were talking to a deputy out there. You're in Slinger. We saw your camera earlier with the two vehicles. What update do you have for us here on the Wisconsin Live Desk?
Yeah, Christina, I just hopped back into the breaking news truck. I hopped out to talk to a Washington County deputy who told me that he told me that we should expect a press release sometime this afternoon, but he also gave me an update on just how long this road will be closed. I'm going to turn the camera around. Again, folks, this is what we're talking about. This is a head-on collision on 175 South. We're actually just outside of Slinger. So we did see Slinger first responders here, but this is actually just south, I'm told, in the town of Polk. And so again, this is a head-on collision that we are looking at. I saw at least one person with my own eyes, so we don't know the extent of any injuries, but you could just see just how bad this crash was just by looking at the impact and just the front end damage done to both of these vehicles. I'm going to try to zoom in the best I can here. But again, just look at the impact here. There is debris coming from both of these cars. The front end bumpers of both of them ripped out. The black SUV has both of them actually. This drop top here has an airbag deployed, as well as the black SUV here. And so earlier, if you were joining us on the Wisconsin Live Desk, Christina and I were talking just about how these crash site investigations work. And so at this point, when we first came to you about 30 minutes or so ago, we had all the first responders up. Now I'm counting at least, now more have actually come to the scene to help with the crash investigation, but I'm counting at least 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm counting at least 7 of the first responder vehicles that are here to investigate the crash. And so I saw at least one person being taken away on a stretcher, put in the back of the ambulance. The ambulance was actually kind of slow to leave, so that person hopefully should be okay. Usually the ambulances come, they leave very quickly when a person is in critical condition, and they tend to kind of linger sometimes when maybe the injuries are not as serious. So we saw at least one person being taken away in a stretcher. Right now we're looking at another Washington County Sheriff's Department deputy leaving the scene here. I'm going to zoom out just so you guys can kind of see what's happening here. This is in real time here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Now they've brought out the gloves. This is where they start to piece together exactly what happened to learn what led to this crash. And at this point, we don't know exactly what caused the crash. We don't know the number of people who were hurt or the extent of their injuries, but we do know at least one person was taken to the hospital in an ambulance. We saw that with our own eyes. So we are still working to learn exactly what led up to this crash. Again, this is on 175 South in the town of Polk, just outside of Slinger. The Washington County Sheriff's Department tells me that they are actually the ones that are handling this investigation, and I am told that it will be sometime. I'm told it will be at least a couple of hours. They are kind of estimating that this particular stretch of the road will be closed. So if this is along your route, I'm going to try to see if I can take a different camera angle here. If this is along your route, know that if this is along your route, your commute will be disrupted by what's happening here. I want to try to see if I can turn the camera around, just because there was earlier we could see there's a little bit of a backup. We're next to the train tracks, and so how we actually got here was, I believe, Fond du Lac and Hillside was what the deputy told us. I'm going to try to swing it around because this is a popular intersection and this is the crashes. The deputies are having to divert traffic, and there seems to be a lot of tractor trailers also that take these back roads, and so a lot of these 18-wheelers are now having to find new routes to get to their destinations. And so there's a deputy, you see him out there, he's constantly having to walk over to the trucks to kind of let them know what's going on and where exactly they can go to get back to en route to where they are supposed to be heading. But again, this is 175 South. We are just beyond Hillside, near Fond du Lac and Hillside. So if you are in this area, please avoid this stretch of the road, just because they're going to be here for quite some time as they are working to clear the scene of this head-on collision. I'm going to try to spin the camera back so you guys can get back to the crash here. Give me just a moment. But
Bria,
again,
when
this
you
is the scene here.
I was going to ask, it looks like one of the first responders there has a drone, and obviously we're thinking about the people in the crash here, but I'm also, these law enforcement officers are outside in this heat, and as you said, we'll be there for quite some time. Any word on how they're doing with just dealing with this hot weather and putting together what happened here at the crash?
You know, that I honestly feel the deputy that's out there, you know, directing traffic, he obviously has been standing out there constantly since we have been here. So I can only imagine how hot he is. It seems like none of them are standing out too long. We're kind of seeing some may come out for a little bit and then they leave and then someone else comes. So I don't know if that's just intentional or if that's just related to, you know, them doing their tasks, responsibilities, and moving along. But it is hot out here, and hopefully they have lots of water. We know that they have to wear, you know, extra padded gear, and so I can't even imagine just kind of what they are experiencing, being that the sun is beaming down, and they are going to be out here for quite some time reconstructing this crash and conducting their crash site investigation.
And from the vantage point we're looking at here, are you able to see where traffic, is that a car being diverted right there from the other side of this crash? Is there a backup on the other side?
They were blocking it. No, there's no backup. It's not necessarily, there is a constant flow of cars. So I'm going to try to look back. There is a constant flow of cars. What I think we just saw was a first responder on the first responders are on both sides.
Got it.
And so they've actually, on the other side, traffic is actually not backed up, but they're stopping it earlier. And so we were initially on the other side of this crash, but we were where they were, you know, blocking off traffic. You couldn't even see the crash. And so from this side, at least you could see, you know, some of the activity. You could see it good as we're looking head on at the crash here. But now we have obviously some deputies out here talking. There's a drone that's out there. They're going to put up a drone just to see exactly, you know, if they could just try to map out to recreate exactly what may have happened here. Again, we're still working to learn the extent of any injuries and exactly what led up to this crash. But of course, our assignment desk, they have calls out. I'm told that there's no one here on the scene that can speak to me. That's what I was told. There's no one on the scene that can speak to me, but I was told that we should be expecting a press release at some point today.
Bria Jones reporting from the town of Polk. Thank you so much for that update. I'm sure our viewers appreciate it, just knowing the time frame of this, and hopefully we'll get some more information this evening from law enforcement regarding what happened in that crash there. Bria, thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, so again, that was Bria Jones reporting from the town of Polk with some updates on that situation happening on Highway 175 in the town of Polk. It was a two-vehicle collision there. It looks like it was head-on. We are hoping, as Bria said, to get some sort of press release this evening in terms of what happened and the extent of those injuries. We're thinking of everybody involved there, and also for the law enforcement officers and deputies who are responding to that crash in this heat. We are going to take a quick break here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Thanks so much for tuning in to us, to the Wisconsin Live Desk so far. I'm going to be with you here until 4 o'clock. We've got some many things to talk about the rest of this afternoon. So we're going to take a quick break. Hope you're staying cool. We will be right back.
Wisconsin Live Desk.
Welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. Thanks so much for sticking with us here on your Wednesday afternoon. When I said sticking with us, it made me think how sticky it is outside. We've been talking about the heat, and if you're just now joining us, we heard from our weather expert, Stephanie Barrichello, who said the extreme heat warning has been extended to Thursday until 10 p.m. So hopefully for the holiday weekend, maybe things will cool down just a little bit. We also heard from the Wisconsin DNR on if you're wanting to cool down and getting on a boat. Some important safety reminders there as we head into the 4th of July weekend. Speaking of the heat, we have been talking soccer and FIFA and the World Cup, and I want to show you Nomad right now. This is where we have been tuning in to watch parties. No one there because it is so hot. I mean, I think about these workers who are, that you see in the camera right now, how toasty it must be. Curious to see what will happen, though, tonight at 7 o'clock, because we have got USA versus Bosnia tonight at 7 right here on Fox 6, and it should be a good one. If you're wanting to tune in from home and the air conditioning, totally understand. Again, the Nomad camera appears that no one is there right now, but there aren't any games happening, I believe, at this hour. But again, USA versus Bosnia tonight at 7 should be a good one, and you can catch it right here on Fox 6. And you can catch us right here on the Wisconsin Live Desk and Fox Local 2 throughout the World Cup coverage. So again, this is a shot of Nomad on Brady Street, where you can see they've got the bleachers set up and the screen on the left, the watch party screen on the left side of your screen. And it's been a fun time watching the World Cup as it continues. One thing that stood out to me that I thought was really interesting, I can't remember where I saw it, but people were talking about how it'll be really unique to have people from other countries be here in America during not only the 4th of July, but for America's 250th. So that will be unique for visitors who are here in America to be experiencing not only the 4th, but on such a big celebration. Delaney, I'm going to bring you in here. Delaney, have you been into any of the World Cup games? Have you watched a lot of them?
I really haven't. Have you?
No. I'm going to be honest. I do love the World Cup. I think it's really cool and I love seeing it, but I feel like the games are always on in the middle of when I'm working.
That's what I was going to say. A lot of them are like right during work.
Yeah.
So I don't get too much time to check in, but it's been fun to see all the fans on social media.
I know. I love it. I think it's great. And I haven't, maybe I'm missing it, but I have not seen a lot of smack talk.
No, I haven't either, which is kind of nice to see.
Yeah, everyone is good vibes. And it'll be interesting tonight, too, with the USA game to see how they do. I do want to try to watch that if I can, just out of the corner of my eye.
I know. I hope I can catch a little bit of it.
Did you play soccer growing up?
I did. Did you?
I did. Were you good?
Not really.
Me neither. My sport was volleyball. Soccer was a social thing, I feel like, if that makes sense.
I did it for the same reasons. Like, all my friends played, and so I didn't want to stop, like, spending time with them.
I know, except for then my friends were actually really good, and so they were way more into it than me, and I was just kind of on the sidelines, like, go team.
That's how I was, like, the sideline cheerleader.
Yes. Well, but it's just, I feel like everyone, not everyone, but like a lot of people in their childhood try different sports and figure out what works for them, and soccer is, for some reason, like a universal thing that people try, and they all have those funny pictures growing up with their little soccer ball and the poses they would put us in with the shin pads and everything.
I feel like everyone has almost the same picture.
I know. It's like our school pictures, but soccer version.
It is.
I love it. Okay, let's go to, we know President Trump is expected to talk hopefully soon in North Dakota. Let's listen in. There is somebody at the podium right now. Let's listen in to what they are saying to see if we can get any updates on when the president will be speaking.
140 years ago, somebody got off the train just over here. It was a 24-year-old New Yorker, and that 24-year-old New Yorker was not yet governor, not yet president of the United States, not at the time the most famous person in the world. He was someone that came west to ranch, and he learned about what it was like for hard work and the working people, and that transformed his ability to lead, and he transformed himself, and then he transformed our country. And then we had, just over a couple hours ago, we had another person from New York get off that train at the exact same spot that TR did. And you know who that is. You know me, and you know that I know hard work, and I have never worked with or for anyone in my life that works harder than the person I'm about ready to introduce. I'm talking 20 hours a day, 7 days a week. And when he's working for all of you. He's working for the American people. And I'm talking about someone who we just moments ago completed the dedication of the opening of the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library and Museum here in Medora, North Dakota, at the entrance to Theodore Roosevelt National Park, the only one of our 63 national parks named after a person instead of a place, and what a place it is. But he's here because of all of you. Please give an incredible welcome to our 45th and 47th President, Donald J. Trump.
Tomorrow all the things were gone, worked for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife. I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. The men who died, who gave that right to me, and I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston and New York to LA, where there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me, and I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the men who died, who gave.
All right, as we wait for President Donald Trump to take the podium there, he is in North Dakota to speak today. We've been listening to his entrance song, and just wanted to chime in here to know, just to let you guys know that we will turn the volume back up when he gets to the podium. But again, President Trump is in North Dakota, and here he comes. Let's listen in.
Well, I want to thank everybody. This is an honor. We love you, and you've been so nice to me with those votes. We set every record in the book. But today we come to the heartland of America to pay tribute to a man who embodied the heart and soul and fight and spirit of our country as much as anyone who ever lived. And he's a very special man, and that's why I'm here, President Theodore Roosevelt. And he loved your community. He loved your state. And he was quite something. He was really quite something. And here, beneath the wide open sky of the Badlands, they call it the Badlands. They said, what's that all about? It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool name, I have to tell you. On the steps of the burning hills, we dedicate a living monument to a legend, a statesman, a soldier, a frontiersman, and a true American hero. This is a very exciting thing for me, and number one, I have to tell you, because this was an inaugural flight of a certain airplane called Air Force One after 37 years. And it's a great plane, and we had a lot of fun with Doug and everybody coming over. But we talked about Theodore Roosevelt a lot, because he was something that was really very special. And number two, because I'm honoring Theodore Roosevelt, and that's the man who I have long admired. He's one of the few. I don't admire too many people, I have to tell you. There's not a lot of people out there. And number three, I'm back in North Dakota because I won this state with the most votes in the history of the presidency. Thank you. Thank you very much. And number four, I have two teleprompters that aren't working, and here I stand. But TR once observed that I would not have been president about himself had he not been, and had it not been for the experience in North Dakota. He had a great experience here. It really shaped him so much. So there could be no better place for this new national treasure than the Rough Rider state. I met some of the Rough Riders. They are Rough Riders. They're good riders, too. They were very impressive. Today, 107 years after he passed into eternity, Theodore Roosevelt's Presidential Library opens its doors, and the small town, but very great town, and today it's a very famous town because that's all they're talking about, of Medora opens its arms to the entire world. The entire world is watching. It's not a big town, but it's a very powerful town because of what was left behind. I want to thank the thousands of people who worked so hard to make this project a reality, and you really did. You made it a beautiful reality. Very few places will top it. And starting with the man who put the library in its first funding, think of it, did so much. He raised so much money. He did so many different things. He really did. He had a very complete life when you think. He was a real man of many forms of genius, and without whom it would never have been possible, Secretary of the Interior. And I'll tell you what, I thought he was an oil man, and he wasn't. I saw him on a debate because this guy was actually going against me. Can you believe it? But I thought he was very impressive. I thought his wife, Catherine, was even more impressive, to be honest with you. And so impressive that I said, he's a good man. That guy's all right. But he's been fantastic. He's been a tremendous Secretary of the Interior and the best ever. There's never been a Secretary of the Interior like Doug Burgum. Thank you very much. Thank you. Never been. And, you know, Doug called me. He said, would you do me a favor? He's really fantastic, because I did not know the gentleman too well. But he said, Kelly Armstrong is fantastic. Would you endorse him for governor? And I did, and he won easily. Kelly Armstrong. Great job you're doing. Great job. And two of my very good friends, two warrior senators, tough cookies, they're tough. Oh, I wish they could get their way. We could get a couple of little things passed, like voter identification, like proof of citizenship. It's called Save America. You know, that's pretty good. Save America, can you imagine? We have 100% of the Democrats against it and 4 or 5 Republicans, if you can believe that. What are they all about? But these two people are with us all the way, John Hoeven and Kevin Cramer, senators. They're great. Two great guys. And a congresswoman who fights and gets what she wants, and she's very respected, Julie Fedorchak. Thank you, Julie. Thank you. Very, very respected. And we have our ambassador, Monica. Where's Monica? Monica Crowley. Fantastic. Acting Secretary of the Navy, Hung Kao. And we're building a lot of ships. North Dakota House Speaker, Robin Wise. Thank you. Thank you. Doing a great job. State House Majority Leader, Mike LaFleur. Mike. Thank you, Mike. State Senate Majority Leader, David Hogue. Thank you, David. And all of the members of the North Dakota legislature, I hear every single one. I'm not going to introduce you. You have no chance of that. I'll be here all day, but you're all here. We love you, and you've been with us from day one. Thank you very much. Thank you. And the CEO, who's done a fantastic job, he took me around. I thought it would be maybe 10 minutes, 5 minutes. I've been doing this for 2 hours. Thank goodness I love the subject, or I would not have put up with it. Doug said you could come in. You know, I'm prosecuting a war, which we're winning very easily, by the way. But I said, Doug, let's fly in. We'll do 10, 15 minutes. I know I'm going to love it. And then I'll get out. Oh, absolutely, sir. So then time comes, he got me making speeches. I was over there 2 hours. I know more about that museum than the people that built it. But that's okay. because they did a very good job. I can report that they did a really good job. The CEO of the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library, who really did give me a tremendous amount of knowledge, I mean, about things that I never would have thought could have been possible about how great this man was. Ed O'Keefe. Ed, thank you very much. And two of my sons are here, Eric and Don. And Bettina, thank you very much. Don just got married. Bettina, thank you. It's going to be great. Thank you very much. But the members of the Roosevelt family and countless foundation staff, donors, and supporters, everyone's here. And I understand that one local construction worker delayed his retirement by 4 years just to be involved with the building, and they heard I was going to come. I was coming even when I wasn't president. I had agreed to come, and they said, well, when we do it, you're going to be president. So that was during that ridiculous time, that ridiculous 4-year period of time. They asked me to come. I said, I'd love to come. And I said, I may or I may not be president. They said, we don't care. We want you to be there. And I always remember that. But they said, you're going to win. You know that. If you run, you're going to win. It turned out we did quite easily, actually. And today I can tell you that we can see why it was worth it. It's really amazing. They've done an amazing job, beautiful job. And, you know, they've done it from love. Jobs that are done from love are always better than jobs where you sort of have to follow a plan. They made lots of changes, and every one of them was good, and I think I know about every one of them. After 2.5 hours, I learned every single one of them. But I want to really thank everyone who greeted me at the train station, because that was so famous. That was such a famous train. The last one was President Dwight Eisenhower, and he was actually a very good president. People don't realize he was a general, good general, and he built the interstate highway system. I'd say that alone is pretty good. He was a good, and he was the last one. He was on the back of the exact same train. So the head of the railroad, he was fabulous, and they were explaining all about the train, and they said, wow, that's really some history in the crowd. We had thousands of people over there. It was fantastic. But I have the picture of President Eisenhower in the back of the train, the same exact train. I checked it out because I said, you know, we don't want to make any mistakes because the fake news is watching, and they'll say it wasn't. It wasn't the same train. It wasn't the same train. No, they've been pretty nice to me lately. Look, when you do as well as we're doing, they have to be nice, I guess. They've been pretty nice. And I want to give a very special thanks to the Patriots who gave us such an incredible escort from town. We had more law enforcement. You know, I love law enforcement. Now, according to the people that are running on the other side, in many places, they want to defund the police. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. We see them all the time. They said they're social democrats. Doesn't it sound pretty? They're actually communists, but we'll get into that a little bit later. They're not going to win. They're not going to win anything. They got some very unattractive candidates, I have to say. During my first term, it was a privilege to sign the bill that helped get this incredible project underway and transferring 90 acres. We took it right out of the federal government. We ripped it away from the federal government. They don't know it's missing. They still haven't figured out what the hell happened. And today, the artistry and scholarship, technical skill on display right here and in that museum in particular is just fantastic. It's really great. Things that they actually gave me. You know, we're going to build our museum in Miami. They got me a lot of ideas, Doug. You gave me a lot of ideas, Doug. But they really did it well. Incredible. I even had a conversation with Theodore Roosevelt. I said, what did you think about the Panama Canal? Do you consider that your greatest achievement? How do you feel about the fact that the Democrats gave the Panama Canal away to Panama for $1? You know, he built the Panama Canal preceded really by a man who was actually, he was the tariff king, William McKinley. He was the president, and they took his name off Mount McKinley, and I put it back on because it deserved it. Put it back on. But McKinley actually, and he was assassinated, but he made tremendous amounts of money, made our country very rich. And then Teddy Roosevelt, as the vice president, got in, and he did some incredible things. But one of them, I think one of the most amazing, maybe a lot of people would say the parks, you could say a lot of different elements of his success, so incredible. But he built the Panama Canal. It was the most expensive project to this date, if you bring the dollars forward, ever built in history. 38,000 people died. They died 95% from mosquitoes, malaria, 95%. You expected almost to die. They paid workers from the United States. Mostly they came in, and mostly, I must say, men. It was a little different time. Today would have men and women, but they had all men. And they paid them massive amounts of money, more than they were making as workers in the United States. Such a fascinating thing, the Panama Canal. I've studied it long and hard, and when they gave it away, $1. But they died from the mosquito, and they died from the snake. They have a viper, a snake, that if you get bit, you're in trouble. If you get bit, you were dead. You were dead, and that wiped out about 5%. We lost 38,000 people building the Panama Canal, our people. 38,000 people died building the Panama Canal. It opened, and from day one, it was very successful. And we gave it away. We gave it away. It was the most expensive thing we ever built, and it was also the most profitable thing we ever built. That's a nice combination. A little bit like Venezuela. We did a good job in Venezuela. And we're actually doing equally as well with the Islamic Republic of Iran. Maybe you've heard of it. But think of it, the Panama Canal, so we gave it away. The first thing they did, you know what they did? They raised the prices for the ships by 4 times, and they didn't lose one ship. And then they raised it again twice, and they didn't lose one ship. All they did is make tremendous amounts of money for years and years. How stupid was that? And now China is trying to take over the Panama Canal, and we're not going to let that happen, okay? And that was not part of the script, because I don't really have a script, because this thing doesn't work. It's appropriate. The one on my right is slightly better than the one on my left. The one on my left is a waste of time. It's a little like politics. The one on my right is a little bit. It's not great. I'd give it about a 2 on the scale of 10. And this afternoon, I'm pleased to announce that through the National Endowment for the Humanities, we will be awarding the library $750,000 to support the opening exhibits during the first year. So they're getting a nice check. Getting a nice check. And as you know, this week, Americans all across our nation are filled with joy and excitement and anticipation as we prepare for one of the proudest moments in our history. 250 years, think about that. 3 days from now, we will celebrate the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. What a document that was. And this week, we look back on 250 years of glorious freedom, and we took so much time and so much effort. And by the way, on July 4th, it's going to be approximately 107 degrees out. And I'm going to go and I'm going to make a really long speech just to show that I can do anything. It's going to be 107. But you know what? They also predicted the fight that we had 3 weeks ago was unbelievable at the White House. They said a week before, 6 days, 5 days, 4 days, 3 days, 2 days, 1 day. They said it was going to rain. It's going to be horrible. You're going to have to cancel the fight. Sure, we're going to have to cancel. This was a big event. This was one of the highest rated fights in history. It was on CBS. national on a Sunday night, not a Saturday night. Saturday nights are called Death Valley for television. I know a lot about ratings. But Sunday night's very good, and it was broadcast on CBS, a network, and it got among the highest ratings any fight has ever gotten. But they said it was going to rain. And I talked to Dana White. I said, Dana, I don't know, this is bad. Sir, it's 100% chance of rain. I said, you sure? Like maybe 90? No, 100%, sir. So it was 7 o'clock and it wasn't raining. Then it started at 8 o'clock and we were going to delay it till 12 o'clock midnight. I said, that's not good. But it wasn't raining at 8 o'clock. And it wasn't raining at 8:30. And we had the fight on time and it never rained. Never rained. So you never know about weather forecasting, do you? With all the money we spend all that money. That's happened before. We had a big march in Washington. You remember that? That was going to be rained out, sir. We're going to have to change it. Rained out, never rained. So we're getting pretty good at that. But this is a time to rediscover the indomitable spirit that built our country and all that will ensure America always remains the most exceptional nation on the face of the earth. We're not going to let communists get in our way. We're not going to let anyone get in our way. Not the communists. It's a very unattractive lot. They're not going to do it. They're not doing anything, those people, what they're doing. They're so stupid. They're so stupid. There could be no better place to begin this rediscovery than with the life, times, and passions of Theodore Roosevelt. He had great passion. The Colonel, they called him, was an American man. He was really a great he-man. He was an American man through and through. His chest swelled with American optimism, confidence, enthusiasm, pride. His heart beat with an unyielding sense of America's destiny and pride, and that pride was bigger. The biggest word for him, I think, was pride. He was a proud man. But I'm a proud man. I'm proud of our country. I'm proud that 2 years ago we had a country that was a laughingstock all over the world, and now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world, the most respected country anywhere in the world. But as a young boy, I saw that he loved Lincoln, and Lincoln's casket would pass through a nation torn apart by civil war. I don't know if you know that. I think Teddy Roosevelt, is probably his biggest. I was trying to get that today, and I think it came pretty loud and clear. Abraham Lincoln was the person that he most respected, most admired, most looked up to. He has a beautiful picture of Lincoln that he had in one of his rooms, one of his very important rooms where he lived, and it's at the library. By the end of the 60 years, TR had transformed his country by the reach of his vision. He had a great vision, and by the force of his will, into one of the greatest places, one of the greatest empires, one of the most incredible countries, ready to take its rightful place as the strongest and most respected nation anywhere in the world. They didn't have people that they had no idea where they were. They didn't have people that couldn't walk up the steps. See those steps? They didn't have people that had no idea where the hell they were. They didn't have people that said, let's have open borders so millions and millions of people can pour into our country from prisons all over the world. They didn't have those people. They had strong, smart people like Teddy Roosevelt. Today, America is stronger and more respected. Right now, I'll tell you, the King of Saudi Arabia, I was with him a year ago, smart guy, good guy. He said to me, sir, it's amazing. And this was as we were just started to really, and we've made a lot of progress since then. You see the numbers, factories being built all over the country at a level that we've never had before. But he said, 1 year ago, during the Biden, Sleepy Joe, during the Biden administration, he said, 1 year ago, your country was dead. We gave up on your country. They were looking at China. They were looking at others to protect them. They were looking at other countries. And now you have the hottest country anywhere in the world. He said that And it's true. Now it's even more so than it was then. Hottest country anywhere in the world. So Theodore Roosevelt and his presidency fell exactly at the halfway mark between the founding in 1776 and the place we are today in 2026. And here are 5 lessons, and I wanted to write these because you can learn from some people, not from too many. From a lot of them, you don't want to learn much. But you can learn from him, and here are 5 lessons that are really extraordinary. Life offers to all Americans on the threshold of our 250th year. First of all, the life of Theodore Roosevelt reminds us that Americans never give up. We don't give up. You know, if you really look back 2 years ago, I can see people wanting to give up. I can see them wanting to give up. He never stopped, never quit, never surrendered in pursuit of his dreams. He had a dream, a very complex dream he did because of the way he traveled, the way he moved, the fact that he ended up here and turned out to be one of the most impactful things he ever did, ending up right here where we are. But his pursuit of the American dream never, ever stopped. It was really amazing. He was plagued by asthma, very, very bad, very serious. He was having a hard time breathing for much of his life. But he went out and he was told by his doctor that he'd have to live very quietly. This is as a young man, he was told you'd have to be and have a very quiet life. You have to be nice and easy. And he did just the opposite. He had a freaking wild life, right? He was wild. He just didn't want to take that. He didn't want to listen to his doctor. He didn't want to be quiet. He wanted to be great. He actually wanted to be great, and that's what he turned out to be. Young Theodore replied, "Doctor, I'm going to do all the things that you tell me not to do, and I've got to live the sort of life that you've described. I don't care how short it is. I just want to live my life the way I want to live my life." It was great. I mean, who would say that? The next year, he sailed the Atlantic, and he summited the Matterhorn just to prove that he could do these things, just to prove his doctor wrong. He knew his doctor. He wanted to prove him wrong. Maybe it wasn't smart, but it worked out okay. But again and again, he summoned the will to transcend tragedy and triumph and defeat heartbreak with hard work. He worked hard, and I found that out. I mean, if you love what you do, it's not work. That's one thing I will tell you. People say, I work hard, but it's not work, because if you love it, I love making America great again. I mean, I'm having a good time. So it's not work. We call it work, but it's not. In his library, we find his diary open to the page from 1884, when his mother and his wife died on the very same day in the very same house. Totally unrelated. Just a tragic moment, but unrelated. There wasn't an accident where both of them were killed. They just died. Then he came back home and he said, what happened? They're both dead. Different parts of the house, had nothing to do. It's just an amazing. Wife was very young. Mother was older, but she was getting by. The light has gone out from my life, he wrote. But Theodore Roosevelt did not surrender to fate. He came here to Medora and made himself fate's master. I said, I want to be fate's master. He wanted to turn the tables, and he really showed that that's what Americans can do. That's what people can do, beyond Americans. That's what people can do if they really believe and they set their mind to it, and if they're competent. I mean, you have to be competent. You have to be smart. It's nice to say anybody can do it. Not anybody can do it. They'd like to say, oh, anybody can do it. No, no. But he was a special person. He arrived at this town narrow-chested, 140 pounds. He looked pretty bad to the people here, because they're pretty tough people around here. Never changed. He was sick. He was shattered from the death of these two people that he loved the most. And His body and his spirit were pretty much broken. Not broken enough, but pretty much broken. If they were broken all the way, he wouldn't have been able to do what he did. He left here 2 years later. He weighed 40 pounds more, and he was strong as an ox. They say it was 40 pounds of muscle. I don't know how the hell that happened. They didn't have modern-day drugs. Of course, the modern-day drugs don't do that either, do they? In fact, they actually take away the muscle. That's not good. How are we doing, doctor? Well, you lost a lot of muscle. That's not good. But we didn't have any of that. He was 40 pounds of steel, the vital man of vigor, who would become president of the United States not that long after he left. Wow, that's amazing. I know what it takes to do that. It's tough. As a sheriff's deputy, he heard 3 thieves had stolen the only boat in town, so he built another, and over 3 days chased the criminals 300 miles. He wanted all those poor criminals. We need a little bit more of that in our country, but we do pretty good. We have the best border we've ever had. We do pretty good. Think of it, we have the best border, strongest border. We went from the worst border in history in 3 months to the best border in history, so we do okay. But he was a man who could get crushed beneath a horse. He was crushed. Get up, and he kept riding. People said, you got to get back. We got to get you to, no, I'm going to keep riding. He could take a bullet to the chest, stand up, and keep speaking. He had a little luck. He had a lot of paper there. I saw it today, a bullet hole right through both of them. But so got lucky, but other people wouldn't have done what he did. He could feel sick, and he was often feeling sick. Deep in the Amazon jungles, he would get extremely sick. Maybe he shouldn't have been there. He knew what was happening. It was a very dangerous place from that standpoint, from the standpoint of catching some pretty bad diseases, and he caught them. And yet he carried on when he was half dead, and most people think he was going to die. They thought he was going to die. They said, Teddy Roosevelt is going to die, but he carried on, and he was still standing. He never sat. He never rested. He just kept going. As America turns 250 years old, we look at this remarkable man, and we recall that with effort, determination, and drive, there is nothing that Americans of competence cannot do. Nothing. Our ancestors were the people who raised up New York City from the marshes of Manhattan and then ventured into the Dakotas to carve up a life in the place that they called hell with the fires burned out. I don't know what the hell that's supposed to mean. Hell with the fires burned out. That doesn't sound so nice. But you did, and you've become a tremendously wealthy state, a very successful state with low taxes. I mean, you have great government. You have great government, these people right over here and the people I introduced, but other places have good land. They have valuable assets under the land, and they're losing. You know, California was our 3rd biggest oil drilling state, Doug, not so long ago. It's got tremendous amounts of oil. Nobody knows that. It was 3rd after Texas. Years ago, it was a big oil drilling. Now they won't drill because the environmental lunatics have said don't do it, and it's not a state that's doing very well. In fact, it's doing extremely poorly. One of the most beautiful states in the world, best weather, best everything. From winning our independence to laying the railroads, taming the West, and planting our flag on the moon, nothing great that America has ever done has come without staggering effort, and it has never come easy. It's been really an unflagging persistence that drove us into greatness. We had the persistence of great people, great men, great women. They were persistent. They never gave up. This country was built on the conviction that just because something is hard to do, that only means that Americans try even harder, and they succeed almost all the time. because whatever the obstacle, whatever the challenge, it's no match for American grit. And you have it probably as much or more than any other place there is. You have American grit. And second, Theodore Roosevelt reminds us all that to be a great nation and to be a free nation, we must have courage. Without courage, you have nothing. As TR once put it, freedom is not a gift that lasts long in the hands of cowards. How about that? It doesn't last long in the hands of cowards. What a great statement. I want to use that. I shouldn't have said it. I would have used that statement, and I wouldn't have attributed it to TR. And they would have said, oh, what a great statement that is. Trump made a brilliant speech. What do you think, John? Would I get away with that? Kevin? I don't know. Maybe not. But that's a great statement. That's a beautiful thing to say. But in the West, he tracked a 1,200-pound grizzly. My two boys know all about that. I say, are grizzlies dangerous? Is a grizzly bear dangerous? I looked at Eric and Don. They know more about that stuff than any human being, I tell you. They said, they're real dangerous, Dad. I said, are they violent bears? They said, they're really violent, right, fellas? You said they are violent, but that doesn't scare them. Just be scared, okay, and get the hell out of there. But we want to keep you around. But when it roared, a big one, and it wanted to strike him, and it was going rapidly there, very fast. I just learned that on a beautiful airplane coming over here. He shot it squarely between the eyes, and it fell, touching him but not able to destroy him. When he heard a man here threaten to kill him right here, one of your tough people, is he around by any chance? Would you please stand up? He rode to his house. He rode to the man's house, knocked on his door. The man threatened to kill him. He said, I'm going to kill Roosevelt. And he declared that I've come over to see what you want to begin with, and how do you want to begin the killing, he said. How do you want to begin? I'm right here in front of you. How do you want to begin the killing? That's a little different kind of a guy. By a coincidence of history, it was exactly 128 years ago today that Colonel Roosevelt gave our nation one of the greatest examples of American courage the age-old chronicles of military valor have ever seen. After commandeering a ship to Cuba for the volunteer regiment, he personally raised and trained his incredible Rough Riders. The Rough Riders, I saw the Rough Riders. What the hell are the Rough Riders? Look at these guys. I wish I looked like that. If I looked like them, I would have been president 20 years ago. You guys are great. Thank you. They could really ride those horses. They let us in. They were going faster than the car. I said to my guys, is there any danger in the way they're riding? Yeah, there's danger, sir, but they're great riders. You guys are fantastic. Thank you. But he led the Rough Riders in their heroic charge up San Juan Heights. And with malaria coursing all throughout his veins, he was really sick. Colonel Roosevelt galloped into a hail of Spanish bullets, and when his horse came to a wire fence, he leapt off the horse. He jumped off the horse, and he started running toward the enemy. I don't know if that was smart, but he made it. Then he looked over at the next hill, and he grabbed his men. He said, fellas, let's do it again. And he did it again and again. The Rough Riders' victory at San Juan Heights led directly to the collapse of the Spanish line. Ah, the Spanish. They're members of NATO, but not very good members of NATO. They say, no, we don't want to help other people. What are we doing, huh? They are not behaving nicely, but they will learn. Soon after, they relinquished their grip on Cuba and Guam, the Philippines and Puerto Rico, and they were all ours. We got them all. And speaking of Cuba, after many, many decades, it's coming our way. Coming our way. But for his actions that day, TR was celebrated as a hero and eventually awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor. That's a big deal. And I'm thrilled to announce that just moments ago, 128 years after the Battle of San Juan Heights, it was my really great privilege to deliver his library and a very special little gift. In fact, I gave it to Doug and the president, a man who did such a good job in helping to build it. Doug raised a lot of money, got a president to be out here all day instead of 15 minutes. And I gave that medal, I took it off we have a beautiful room, the Roosevelt room, this Roosevelt, by the way, and I took it off the wall, brought it over, and we just presented it, and it's going to be in your library now for a long, long time. And it'll be displayed alongside the Medal of Honor earned by his brave son. His son was brave. It's genetics, you know, it's like the racehorse theory, right? Fast horses. Theodore Roosevelt Jr. on D-Day, he also received that incredible acknowledgement, except for Arthur and Douglas MacArthur. Arthur was his son, Douglas MacArthur, great general. They're the only father and son pair to receive our nation's highest military award for courage above and beyond the call of duty. Now, as I see my two beautiful sons sitting there, I think I'm going to give one to myself, one to them, and we'll have a threesome, okay? I'll pick out one of the two. I'll give them the Congressional Medal of Honor for something, for their genius at hunting. And I'll get one for taking on Russia, or something. And we'll have a third pair. No, I'm only kidding. But I have seriously thought about, now this is dangerous to say because the fake news is up there all over the place. And when I joke, I learned early on, don't be sarcastic in politics. But I actually said a few times that I've seriously thought of giving myself the Congressional Medal of Honor. Now, everyone knows I'm doing it with a chuckle, but then they report, he wants to give himself the Congressional. So I don't say that anymore. It's very dangerous to say. But it is the highest award, and they had a father-son get it, and that's a tremendous tribute to a genetic pool. As we enter the 250th year, Americans must never forget we are a historic and heroic people with a heroic spirit and a heroic purpose. And in this world, we are a very special group. American courage won our independence. It liberated millions and millions from slavery, rescued billions from tyranny, and sustained American liberty for 2.5 centuries. And we're not going to lose it to this group of losers. Oh, can you imagine? Have you seen these people? Have you seen these people? The press is just building them up. They're losers, okay? They're nasty people, but they're losers. We'll teach them. We're going to teach them. They're not going to hurt our country. Without courage, there is no America today. If you don't have courage, we wouldn't have America today. We wouldn't be close. Third, Theodore Roosevelt believed in the America that really works and worked. He refused to accept failure, mediocrity, corruption, decay, or decline, and neither should we. That's why we can't take this nonsense that's going on right now. We're not going to take it. The first public cause he ever supported was a bill to fix the streets in New York City. He was very New York City and New York centric. You know that. That's where he came from. He was a pretty rich family. As the Civil Service Commissioner, he fought tooth and nail to return federal hiring to a principle called merit. Merit. Isn't that nice to hear? And by the way, Do you know, a little while ago, not in yesterday's decisions, where we actually had a good day except for birthright citizenship, which will work out some way, but we had something called, do you know what we're talking about? We had something that gives back tremendous power to the President of the United States, and we won that, I think, 6-3, and it was taken away from another Roosevelt. It was taken away from FDR in 1932. It was taken away, and for almost 100 years, that's been up for grabs. Slaughter, it was called, the Slaughter case. And a lot of people didn't think it would ever be won, and we won it 2 days ago in the Supreme Court. It gives power back to the president at a time where the president really needs power. It's a great decision. It was the most important, and we won some others too. It was the most important decision of all of them, I think. But we'll take care of the birthright citizenship because that was not meant for rich people from other countries. That was meant for, actually, it was meant for the babies of slaves. If you look at it, it was a month after the Civil War ended that it went through. That's because it was meant for the babies of slaves. It wasn't meant for rich people from China. They came over in Gulf Streams. It was meant for the babies of slaves. So I believe, no, I know they got it wrong, but that's okay because they gave us something that nobody thought. But they also gave us something in one of the sessions a year ago. It was called merit. Our country now is based again on merit. So if you're a student with very average marks and you looked a certain way or you acted a certain way or whatever, and you get into the finest school in the world, and then you're somebody else that looked a certain way or acted a certain way, and you have all A pluses, and you have all great marks and board numbers that are through the roof, way above other people, but you don't get in, they get in. It's all over with. It's based now on merit. I don't even know if people know. The fake news didn't want to cover it. To me, that's one of the greatest decisions. And that took courage of the Supreme Court because our country became great because of merit. We became great because of merit. And when you look at those soldiers that we have standing there at Washington, D.C., where we ended up, so we had one of the most unsafe cities, places, our capital, anywhere in the country. And now we have one of the absolute safest. You can walk anywhere in Washington, and we fixed up the monuments, and Doug was fantastic. We had 78 monuments, fountains, statues. We have the reflecting pond, which we did the best job of all, and they came in with box cutters and they cut it up, but it's working fine. We're going to let a little water out. We're going to redo it a little bit. But we fixed it up after 100, and think of it, it was 1922 that it came about, and from the day it was built, it leaked. From the day it was built, it didn't work. But when it did, when they had water, it was beautiful. It reflected Washington, the Washington Monument. It reflected Lincoln and Washington. Think of it. How beautiful. How beautiful. And these people went in and cut it up, and they got caught. We'll see what happens with them, but they got caught. But they put a big gash, 350 feet long. Think of that, 350-foot gash along the side of this very expensive material. But it will have it all. It's already good. We want to have it done for July 4th, and it was done for July 4th. And it's operating right now, but we'll let a little water out. We'll fix it up very quickly, Doug, and it'll be just as good. But we have, for the first time ever, what they don't say, we spent a very small amount of money, too. What they don't say is Barack Hussein Obama. Have you heard of him? Barack Hussein Obama spent tens of millions of dollars trying to fix it, and it was a disaster. Sleepy Joe Biden spent millions of dollars trying to fix it, and he was unable to do it. But we did it, and it works beautifully. It's a beautiful, we got rid of the algae, which they put in. They put in algae. Who the hell put an algae? They had a couple of people with signs, protect the algae. Can you believe this? This world has gone crazy. But today I'm proud to say that after 4 years of decline, America is once again a nation that has strong borders, is respected by everyone, all countries all over the world. They respect your president and they respect you. When they respect your president, they respect you. And we solve problems and we take things on just like Theodore Roosevelt took things on. He took them on directly, right at them. He stared in their face. But our laws will be enforced. Our laws will be protected. And our law enforcement is respected again. You know, one of the things that I'm most proud of, when I was running in the campaign and even before I announced, you could not get people to join the military. We had the worst years we've ever had under Sleepy Joe Biden. He had no idea what the hell he was doing. And people were ashamed of our country. And you couldn't get them to join. And then we had a beautiful day, November 5th, and we won by a lot. We won by just a lot. It was incredible. We beat a woman named Kamala. We beat a brilliant young woman named Kamala who had no clue. She was the border czar. She never went to the border. She never called the border patrol. I said, fellas, do you ever get a call from Kamala? She's the border czar. No, sir, she never called. I used to call them every other day. How we doing on the border? 2 months, and we had a border that was perfect. 2 months. But Kamala never called, and she never went. So for 4 years, she was the border czar. She never went to the border. It doesn't typically play out very well. And we had the worst border in the world. But these are the people that were running our government, that we were a laughing stock all over the world. Not anymore. They don't laugh at us anymore. A government that was honest and accountable was the #1 demand of the Declaration of Independence. They want honesty. They want respect. And on this anniversary, we recommit ourselves to upholding that righteous legacy. And that's why I'm here. I'm in a state that I won by a landslide, but I won a lot of them by landslides, in all fairness. But this was a beauty. This was a beauty. And I refuse to tell you. My son said, Dad, don't say that. So I won't. I refuse to tell you who got more votes, me or the legendary, and he was great, Theodore Roosevelt. I refuse to say. Because you'll say he's a braggart. He's a terrible human being. He's a horrible person. So I refuse to say. I told my son, I will not say. Thank you. Thank you for giving me some good advice, Eric Trump and Don Trump. TR was also a staunch and ferocious opponent of a thing called communism. You've been hearing a lot about that lately. He said the doctrines of communistic socialism, if consistently followed, mean the ultimate annihilation of civilization. Other than that, he thought it was wonderful. As we're seeing now, communism is the greatest threat to our country, including, I believe this. You know, when I said it, I said, boy, that's pretty severe, but I think it's true. It's the biggest threat to our country, including World War I, World War II, Pearl Harbor, September 11th. I think it's a bigger threat, potentially a bigger threat than that, because it's like a cancer that spreads, and you better stop it fast. We will never let the United States become a communist country. Won't happen. And fourth, thank you. Fourth, Theodore Roosevelt believed in an America that thinks big. He thought big. He was a big thinker. He was a tremendously big thinker. On the 4th of July in 1886, he spoke in Dickinson, North Dakota. Anybody from Dickinson? And said, like all Americans, I like big things, big prairies, big forests, and mountains. I want them big. He wants big wheat fields. He wants tremendous railroads, let them be big and beautiful and powerful, and herds of cattle. He wants everything big. He wants big factories, steamboats. He wants everything big. It was cool. I mean, I thought it was great because I feel that way. I've always felt that way. Theodore Roosevelt wanted a big future, and he had big dreams for America. And thanks to him, we built the Panama Canal, that beautiful Panama Canal. That is not managed the way it should be, but we won't talk about that now. But he did all of these incredible things with parks and everything else. And we vanquished every foreign power from the hemisphere, and he raised the American flag on the far side of the world. He had our American flag planted on every part of the world. He would call, or whatever they did in those days, is the flag over there? Is the flag? He wanted that flag to fly boldly in other countries and other parts of the world. We built the Great White Fleet. Did you ever hear the Great White Fleet? We used to build ships. We're going to start very soon building them again. We're building them like, what do you see? Although we do build the greatest submarines ever in the world. We're 15 years ahead on submarines and other things. We do other things great, but we're going to start with the ships again. We used to build a ship a day. And now they got out of that. A lot of people that didn't know what the hell they were doing in running our country. Theodore Roosevelt understood that the grand and righteous ambition is not a vice, it is an American virtue. Having ambition is a positive thing, he said, not a negative thing. And it won us our country, and it's been among the greatest forces for good. It's been the greatest thing. Our attitude and the attitude toward our country and making our country great by some people. Not all presidents were like that. I don't want to get involved with talking about the individual presidents, but we had some good. We had few great. We had a couple. But we had some good. But we had some really bad ones, and they set us back very, very substantially, in particular the last one. A nation, like an individual, either rises or falls, builds or decays, lives or dies by this. As we look into the future of our 250th year, it's time that we get out there and we expand our aspirations and our ambitions and build the country that will inspire the entire world for generations. So that's what we're doing. Again, we have more money being invested in the United States of America by other countries and people than ever before, by many, many times over. The fake news doesn't like talking about it, but they see what's happening. Look at the stock market. Every day it's hitting a new high. I think it's 82 times now. In a short period of time, 82. And that's a good thing, not a bad thing. And all of you that have 401ks, which are many. Who is a 401k? 401k, yeah. Big percentage of the audience. Everyone that has a 401k is setting records right now in your 401k. Your wife, your husband, your kids, they all think you're a genius. I'm the genius. I'm the one. No, I'm only kidding. No, I told the story the other day for the first time. A policeman came up to me, a big, strong, good-looking guy, and he said, "Sir, I want to thank you." He was almost sort of crying. I said, "What do you want to talk to me about, officer?" He was standing on the line. He was watching as I shook hands with people. Some of these people are extremely strong in shaking hands. They break your hand because they're so emotional. "Sir, thank you very much." A guy's an NFL offensive lineman. "Sir, I'd like to thank you very much." Why? But he came up to me and he said, "Sir," I was leaving, "I want to thank you so much." Why? My 401k is up 84%. My wife was disgusted with me for years. It was just going in the wrong direction. But it's up 84% this year. And I just want to thank you, sir, because it's really helped me with my marriage. My wife is respecting me again. She thought I was an idiot. This is a big, strong guy. But the women, you know the women rule. You know that. We know. All the guys in there, you know. This guy is a big, powerful guy, and he was petrified of his wife. But you know what? He said, my wife now respects me again. She thinks I'm a genius. She thinks I'm Warren Buffett. She thinks I'm one of the greatest investors. But they are up. But everybody in this room, there's not one person here that hasn't been going up 50, 60, 70, 80%. Your 401ks, you're making a lot of money. Everybody is. And we have more people working today than any time in the history of our country. We have more people working today than at any time. And we inherit a tremendous inflation problem from Biden. We inherited the worst inflation in history. 48 years, they say, but let's say history. It was the worst inflation, and prices were high. And those prices are all coming down. And you see fuel is coming way down. It's dropping like a rock, just like I said. Because those boats are coming out of the Hormuz Strait. They're coming out by numbers that nobody ever saw. We're setting records, actually. The oil is dropping. We have some great oilmen here. I don't know if they're happy or sad. I don't give a damn if they're happy or sad. I want the prices to go down, and the oil is dropping like nobody thought possible, but I told you it would. Total control. We have total control of everything. This is just the beginning of the golden age of America. We're in the golden age of America, and America is going to experience something that I can truly say, I believe, the best is yet to come. It's going to be coming, and it's here, but it's coming at speeds that nobody thought possible. Finally, Theodore Roosevelt understood that whatever our background, we are all Americans. We're Americans first, united under one flag. And we don't wipe our hands on a flag. Did you hear the person? One of our communist people. But they cleaned it up. The press cleaned that statement up. You know that, right? She didn't use the word hands. She used a different word, a disgusting word. They're disgusting pigs. She didn't use the word hand. They said hand. She used another word. You know what word I'm talking about. These people are a disgrace. That's why Theodore Roosevelt boldly fought for what he called the new nationalism. The word nationalism is a very interesting word. Putting the needs of the whole nation and all of these people above partisanship, lobbyists, crooked politicians. This is one thing with these guys. They are honest as hell. I'd let you know if they were crooked, if John or Kevin were crooked, I'd say, they're crooked pals, but they're honest. Maybe they're too honest, actually. We got to get a little action going here, fellas. But no, these are great politicians. They're great people. That's why you put them back in office in record numbers, the two of them, all the time. But TR knew that true patriotism demanded caring for the worker, the environment, and the health and culture, and integrity for the nation itself. He was something special. He was a really great man. He was a man the likes of which you may never see again, but we'll all get close and we'll all try and duplicate what he's done, because he was a man of unbelievable genius and unbelievable toughness and principle. So I want to just say that it's an honor to be with you. It's an honor to be asked to represent our nation in the opening of what will be a truly great library, museum, or center. Call it what you want. And he deserves it as much as anybody that's ever been president of the United States, which is such a great honor. And I just want to thank everybody for being here on this extremely hot day. It's a beautiful day, and it's a beautiful state. And I want to thank you all. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And as you just heard from President Trump speaking at the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library in North Dakota, he spoke for the last hour. We had the entire thing here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. As he exits the podium, we are going to take a break here, and we will be back with you in about 2 minutes.
Wisconsin Live Desk.
Welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk here on your Wednesday afternoon. It is approximately 3:32. We've had a pretty busy day here on the Live Desk so far. Of course, we have had some extreme heat as we head into the 4th of July weekend. For the last hour, we heard from President Trump ahead of America's 250th birthday celebration. A lot of fun things happening this weekend. One of those things are fireworks. So we have a tracker, actually, a fireworks tracker, if you will, and a lot of fun things to talk about when it comes to fireworks, but also some safety reminders. So I was up in Caledonia at the Phantom Fireworks shop on Sunday. We were working on a story about sales prices since it's the 250th and what customers are seeing when it comes to pricing and what they're buying. And we heard the prices are actually similar to last year, and sales are up 20% ahead of the holiday. And the owner there at Phantom Fireworks said that people are really interested in the red, white, and blue fireworks this year. They had a new line of specifically red, white, and blue, all to celebrate the 250th anniversary. But as we talk about fireworks, it's really important that you make sure you know the rules of where you live if you are setting off your own fireworks. Most southeastern Wisconsin towns do not allow you to do so. You do have to have a permit in some other areas of our southeastern Wisconsin range, but that is one thing that is important to remember if you are buying fireworks at that location. Make sure you know what's legal in your area. So when it comes to the fireworks tracker, there's also a really cool interactive map that we have right there, where you can click on those markers and that'll show you more information about fireworks happening in your area. I know the Milwaukee area is doing their drone show again on the 3rd of July, so that'll be interesting. Not as loud, but all part of the fun celebrations. And speaking of the 4th of July, it's going to be a hot one. We are going to bring in our weather expert, Lisa Michaels. And Lisa, it's going to be warm. I know there's a extreme heat warning that got extended. Walk us through it.
Yeah, so that's really what we're going to be talking about, Christina, is the extension of the heat warning, and in addition, what it's going to look like for the 4th, because while we are still going to feel very uncomfortable outside, we also have to watch for the chance of some thunderstorms. Now, we've had a little more cumulus cloud development through the day today. We even had some severe thunderstorms, especially in Fond du Lac and Sheboygan counties earlier this morning. Recently, this afternoon, we had numerous stronger storms move through that produced very large hail. So we are south of this front, which is where we've been feeding in the warm, very moist air mass, which I'm sure you notice. But what we're tracking is a little more activity starting to develop off to the west. So we have to see what these cells do as they move into a relatively untapped environment in terms of activity earlier today. That may spark an isolated strong to severe thunderstorm within the region. And we have to watch because the cells that we had earlier today had a very potent amount of hail within them, where hail reports, again, were up to quarter size in some spots. Other locations had reports that were near hen size, ping pong ball size. So we are waiting to see. If you have any photos, please send them to us. We would love to show them on air as well. But any kind of cell that does form has a potential of giving us very large hail as well as some damaging winds. So the big change from earlier today, that enhanced risk, which was more to our north, has now shifted down to the south. So that is going to include more of southeast Wisconsin now along the I-94 corridor. So we'll be watching as we head through the afternoon and evening hours of maybe, again, an isolated strong to severe thunderstorm. But we do have a better chance even heading into tomorrow, where we could have a couple storms earlier in the morning that could produce some hail as well. What we're going to be watching again is, again, an isolated storm, not out of the question, but a few more rounds could be moving through overnight and into tomorrow morning that we are going to monitor. We are going to have a more active rain and storm chance as we head through Thursday, Friday, and even Saturday. Now, in terms of heading closer to the holiday weekend, we still have to talk about the heat in addition to the storms, because the extreme heat warning That has been extended now until 10 o'clock on Thursday. It was going to go until 7 o'clock tonight, but we are still looking at having areas reach those triple-digit heat indices. Dangerous heat and humidity has allowed this to extend. The question is, will this extend into Friday as well? It's possible, so we still have to kind of watch as a day-by-day scenario will unravel to see if we can see that extension into the end of the week. Right now, we have temperatures feeling like 100 in Milwaukee, 103 West Bend, 102 Burlington. Notice where it's been a little cooler, 97 in Fond du Lac, 91 Sheboygan. That's where we had some of the addition of thicker clouds as well as some storms, but it is still a scorcher outside. And of course, as we move through the days ahead and even tonight, we're still looking at having heat indices tonight in the 90s and 80s. It is going to be another night where your air conditioning may be struggling to at least keep your home a little bit cooler just because it's been working so hard the past few days. Now, are we going to get some relief? I know that's the big question. Well, in the temperature department, notice as we head towards the weekend and next week, yes, we will get some relief. Temperatures will be dropping into the low to mid 80s. However, it's still looking to be very muggy out there. Our dew points are still going to be high, so that could make it feel a little uncomfortable. We are tracking an easterly component to the wind, which actually could keep it cooler near the lake, though, as we head through the fourth weekend. But unfortunately, we do still have to watch for showers and thunderstorms, Christina, and that's going to be the big impact. Even if we have rain in the morning and storms in the morning, that would mean that could impact any kind of parades. But if we, of course, have showers and thunderstorms at night, that would impact the fireworks. And it's too soon to really determine the exact location and the exact timing that these storms are going to move in. A pretty typical summer-like pattern. We can get these pop-up scattered showers or thunderstorms at times. So this is not going to be typical of a big line that moves through. We can time it evenly. It's going to be a little more challenging for the forecast. So just means you have to be weather aware as we head into the upcoming weekend. And of course, you want to stay tuned with your Fox 6 weather experts. We'll be tracking this forecast very closely in the upcoming days.
Lisa, you know it's a hot one when we're looking at 80s, and it's a relief.
Right? I know. I just wish we could lower the dew points. It would feel a lot better, but even then, even if we had 80 degrees, we still have storms to deal with. So either way you look at it, there's going to be something, but hopefully we'll be able to find some time to enjoy. It may be more inside activities for some. It's just going to depend how the forecast unravels.
And as you said, it's still a little early to tell the timing, so maybe we'll get an update about all of those parades and celebrations.
Yeah, we'll, of course, again, keep everyone updated.
Yes. Lisa Michaels, thank you so much. All right, so that was our weather expert, Lisa Michaels, telling us about the weather ahead. As you heard from her, there was that extreme heat warning extended to 10 p.m. on Thursday. It's a hot one, but it's summer in Wisconsin. So as you heard from her, stay weather aware. She will keep us updated, as all of our meteorologists will, about your 4th of July celebrations and if you should stay inside, or maybe you can enjoy some fireworks this weekend. So we will see what happens with the weather. We are going to take a break here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, a 2-minute break, so stick with us. We've got some updates regarding the Buc-ee's construction in Oak Creek. Excited to tell you about that. We'll be right back.
is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. Thanks so much for joining us. We've got about 15 minutes left here with you now. And if you've been watching, we have been following some breaking news out of the town of Polk, where our Bria Jones has been updating us on a crash that happened there. We're going to bring in Bria now. Hey, Bria, I know you've been there for a couple hours now. Yeah. Bring us viewers up to speed on the situation there and what you've been seeing.
Yeah, that's right, Christina. The road has at least been blocked for, I would say, at least since around 1 o'clock. We arrived here around 1:15 and things were already blocked off. I want to turn it around so you can see what's happening here now. This is very different. The last time I saw you guys, maybe about an hour or so ago when we checked in, we saw the 2 cars involved in this head-on collision. They have since, maybe in the last 30 minutes or so, towed around the gold-colored car, and now they are towing away this black SUV. Again, right now we are on a highway, State Highway 175 South. This is near Hillside in the town of Polk. And so the good news is that hopefully within the next 15 or so minutes ago, because we see both of the tow trucks are here. The cars are now loaded onto the beds of the trucks, and now they are clearing out the road from any debris. What we don't know at this point is how many people were injured and exactly what caused the crash. I did see at least one person being put on the back of a stretcher and taken away. That was in the first live shot, maybe around 1:30 or so. So again, over 2 hours later, the scene looks a lot different. We've been through them with every step of this process, from seeing obviously the first responders blocking off the traffic, to seeing them load someone on the stretcher, and then also seeing them now loading up the cars involved in the collision, and now heading away. The car's heading away, and they're now working to clear the scene, and people will soon be able to access the road. And so this is the scene here. Not a lot of backup still at this point. I'm going to turn the camera around just to show you guys exactly what we've been seeing for the last few hours. But again, this is State Highway 175 South. This is near Hillside, and this is Hillside that we're looking at. This is heading towards the Fond du Lac Road. So again, this is us in the town of Polk. We still have that first responder out here. Christina, you had asked me earlier just about how they are dealing with the heat and the conditions. I saw him turning a little red, and another one of the deputies, brought him over a cold bottle of water. So they are definitely feeling the impact of this hot weather, because he's been out there directing traffic this entire time. And what I was saying is, this stretch of the State Highway 175, there are a lot of tractor trailers, a lot of 18-wheelers that, carry supplies and whatnot that are heading down this very busy road. And as you can see from this angle in our truck, he's walking over now. This is constantly what he's been doing for the last few hours, walking back and forth, directing the trucks and different people who are confused about what to do to no longer, obviously they can't go through this patch of 175. They're going to have to find an alternate route. And for many of them, obviously what we're seeing right now, this is Hillside. Hillside is the alternate route where you see that truck going up right now. But I'm going to pan back over to the crash scene. I'm seeing them load up the last of the debris in a trash bag. And now, just within the next few minutes, they should be clearing the scene. We are still waiting to learn from the Washington County Sheriff's Department exactly what transpired here. We do know that just from our own eyes, what we could see was there was a head-on collision, and that at least one person was taken to the hospital. But again, we have calls and emails in. I've tried to talk to the deputies here. They said there's no one on scene that can give us an update, but that we should be expecting a press release in the coming hours. And so I'm seeing the last of the deputies here walk towards their cars, so that lets me know that the scene should be clearing momentarily. I'll send it back to you in the studio.
And Bria, for our viewers who were not tuned in when you first arrived and we saw a different vantage point of those two vehicles, can you describe just how serious it did look? I mean, there was two cars that looked like they almost collided head on there.
Yeah, no, I mean, we can see just from, I'm trying to zoom in a little bit more, you can see how mangled. Look at this is the front end of one of the cars. And so both of these cars, the front end damage was very extensive, and you could just see just how intense the moment of impact might have been. And so again, the debris, when we got here, as you can see, they're still cleaning up the debris. There was a lot on the ground there that they had to remove, and you can only imagine the speed limit is 55 miles per hour, but it just makes you wonder, because the cars here, they were not going in the direction of traffic. They were facing each other they were turned towards each other instead of the direction of the traffic. And so there is a little curve there, as you can see. I'm going to kind of zoom out a little bit so you can kind of see the path of the road. But still, one wonders how exactly those two cars ended up facing each other towards the median. And so that moment of impact, where those cars collided, there was so much debris. Again, those two cars smashing towards each other, turning inwards towards the lane versus the direction of the traffic. And so I'm definitely waiting for the press release to come out so we can really pinpoint exactly what happened, what investigators know at this point, because as we saw, they were doing the crash site reconstruction, they were taking their photographs, there was a drone in the sky, and at one point we even saw a K9 officer, which I don't typically see at crash sites. So I am curious why there was a K9 officer here. Hopefully they detail that information in the press release, but if not, we will definitely ask about it. But this is, again, just what we're seeing out here at State Highway 175 South near Hillside. This is in the town of Polk, just outside of Slinger in Washington County.
The K9 is interesting, and I thought the drone was interesting too. I don't know about you, Bria, but when I've been on scenes like this, they don't normally fly a drone. At least that I've seen, but maybe it depends on the situation.
Yeah, I know sometimes they do the drone just for an overhead view.
Right.
You know, I kind of have seen that in certain instances. But again, you don't always get a drone at a crash.
Yeah.
So I do agree with you on that front. Like, it's very, it's not atypical that you have a drone or a K9 at a crash site.
Bria Jones, thank you so much for staying on this crash site. I know you'll stay on it, and if we do get that press release, you will keep us posted. So we appreciate the update. And that was again, Bria Jones reporting from the town of Polk. You can see what's left of a two-vehicle crash that happened around 1 o'clock this afternoon. We have not received any word yet from first responders or officials on what led up to this crash. We were checking in with Bria earlier where she showed us the speed limit sign is 55 miles an hour. And this has been going on for quite some time. We've also talked about how the heat might be impacting the first responders out there helping people and cleaning this up. We know Bria saw one person taken away in an ambulance. So when we get any sort of update on that situation, we will bring that to you. We have a couple minutes left here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. I haven't forgotten to tell you about the Buc-ee's update. So in about 2 minutes, we will be right back and we will share when construction for the Oak Creek location will start. Stay with us.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Thanks so much for tuning into the Wisconsin Live Desk. I'm Christina Van Zelst, here with you for just a couple more minutes. I know we've been talking about the construction that is set to start at Buc-ee's. So let's get to it. We just got a press release, and this is all regarding the Oak Creek Buc-ee's Travel Center. Mid-July is when the construction is going to ramp up. This has been a really anticipated development in Wisconsin. It's the first Buc-ee's location in Wisconsin. It'll be located at the southwest corner of I-94 and Elm Road in Oak Creek. Now we're hearing about the initial work, what it's all going to include. So as you can see, it's the site grading and preparation for utility installation. And I think once the construction really begins, this is going to feel real and that it's actually happening. We have been talking about this for quite some time. We've even had some polls and asking people Buc-ee's versus Quick Trip. And I feel like majority of people have said you really can't compare the two of them because Buc-ee's it's just a different ballgame, right? So I'm not really sure who actually won those polls, but we'll give Buc-ee's a chance because everyone loves a Buc-ee's if you've been. I personally haven't been. Delaney, I don't know if you've been to a Buc-ee's before, have you?
I've never been to Buc-ee's.
See, so it's like, how can we say?
Right? Like you can't compare it yet.
No. Okay, so let's go over the release. Let's see if there's anything else we missed. So again, moving into Oak Creek, that construction starts mid-July, and the initial work, again, including the site grading and preparation for utility installation. So we will stay on that once that construction starts. It'll be approximately 7 acres preserved for green space and stormwater retention. And the travel center itself will be 73,370 square foot travel center. So massive. 29-acre development. Again, all of this starting in mid-July. So if you're a Buc-ee's fan, get ready. It is officially going to start. Also, this weekend, we have Summerfest. The last weekend of Summerfest is happening on Thursday through Saturday, and it's a hot one. So they are updating their rules. If you are planning on going to Summerfest, you can bring a bottled water that is sealed. Again, this is a tweet that they put out today. And again, all part of this extreme heat that we've had. We heard from our weather experts that the extreme heat warning will be extended through Thursday until 10 p.m. So if you're at Summerfest and even when the sun goes down, it's still hot, and they are allowing you to bring one sealed plastic water bottle into the park. That is excluding the amphitheater, so if you're seeing a headliner that day, you can't bring your water bottle into there, but you can bring it through the grounds. Make sure it's sealed, but all ways to stay safe in this summer heat. We are heading into the holiday weekend, so we have also been talking about ways to stay cool. If you're on a boat celebrating, some safety tips we heard from the DNR. Really have been a busy day here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, so we appreciate you tuning in and have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday.